mosquitoes.
Get bitten alive, man.
Really bit.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Life and death in Final Fantasy.
Indeed.
From the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
The actual middle of nowhere. It does look like
Is there somebody over
there is human life out
there is.
there.
We're not the only ones here.
Poignant day, right?
It is.
It is.
It is real
So
poignant.
this is like our first bit of booze. To celebrate a life well lived and more life coming into the world.
It is. Yes. It's a very, for my family. I lost my granddad a few weeks ago now. Yeah, of old age. He got to that point, as you do in life. But,
I mean, the day he passed was the day before the finale of FF10.
it was. So I was holding it together. Like, you said to me, didn't you, that you sure you want to do this today because you knew what was coming? And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. Yeah, I'll still do it.
I knew, guys, how 10 ends and Yuna's speech. I don't know why I'm getting so emotional just thinking about it. Because I'm recollecting the emotion of the day.
Yeah.
And it was seeing Ginge go through that, computing it, and also, you know, wanting to make it a mix between the grief but also the joy of a life, and that's such a hard thing to balance. And I knew that the ending of 10 really hit a note on that front.
You did.
And I wanted you to see it. I'm talking about, you know, obviously when Tidus goes and what Yuna says at the end, you know, because that's also such a mix of emotion, isn't it? Because, you know, sin, the personification of death, and has caused cycles, endless amounts of suffering. Like, that's done, and there's a new beginning. Yeah. And Yuna's kind of speaking to people about this sort of new rebirth of the world, while at the same time you can see it in the back of her experience that she's just lost somebody. When she says, you know, never forget them, you know, the ones who have passed. And but you played it, and I don't know, how did it land, man?
Oh, it was very emotional for me, and it struck a chord, and I could see why you were telling me that it was asking why, but it was wonderful to go through, like having just having that added emotion to it. I'm not saying I wouldn't have had that emotion from that game like that, but it just made it a lot more memorable for me, that game. Yeah, the point in time, and what was sort of extra about it, because there's also been another bit of news at the exact same point. I mean, days apart in your family. It was only recently, or a couple of days ago actually. It was my cousin gave birth to a baby boy. So it's a very
what a mix
time.
What a mix
of happiness and sadness, especially for mum talking to her on the phone. Like, she didn't know. She was crying because she doesn't know how to process it.
Are you happy for a
new life coming to the family, but another one gone? It's like, it is hard.
And it's today. That is his grandfather's funeral.
She couldn't be there for,
but like we discussed that a lot. You know, would he have wanted you? You know, that's I always feel like, and I know I don't know the guy. What I heard about him, you know, a selfless guy, a family guy, who he would have wanted you to have kept on doing your thing.
He would,
You know what I mean, there's death is for the dead and life is for the living, right?
It is indeed.
But we thought, we would come, we would grab some soju, and we would just honour it. You know what I mean? In our little way. Even though he never drank.
He didn't drink. That's what he said to me. He said, we'll have a drink. And I was like, he never drank. He never drank.
And we're actually doing it at this
this monument. I was trying to work out what it was.
Cool monument. It's in the middle of nowhere. So we're kind of out. Our apartment building is over there.
Just there, yeah. The big white one.
And we've been looking out over this sort of island, this stretch. And right along the coastline. Maybe we'll take a little roam down. But we was at food today, and we was thinking about what comes to mind with Final Fantasy, what kind of vids we want to make, and this was obviously the most front and center thing. And Final Fantasy has done a lot of different takes on the theme of death, and it always is that mix between fear, well, sadness and grief, but also tremendous amount of love and realization of what those individuals, because it's not even just people you lose to actual death. This is kind of what really stuck in my mind, is a lot of people, when you think about dying, we'll be discussing it a lot today, and like, it's not something that's just exclusively to that moment,
no,
where you pass from this life. It's something that shows up again and again throughout your life. And I don't know, we were going back and forth on whether you have the attitude of, oh, you know, it's not going to happen to me, I'm a long time away from it, so why do I need to think about it?
Yeah, it's very easy to get into that mindset with it.
Yeah.
Especially from a young age. And
yeah.
Not what it's, I don't know if it's out of fear that people don't want to think about it, or
it's out of fear, and also I think kind of on our base level, we kind of believe in our own immortality a bit.
We do.
Because it's not our time, and it's a massive assumption that we make, and I think people make it all the way up until that moment where it's there, and then that's why it's such a front and center heavy. Oh my God, what did I do with my life? The regrets, the moments of following your purpose, or the people that you didn't tell certain things to, it just comes flooding in, bombards you. And it's always struck me, I don't want that to be my experience at the end of my life, and that's why I try to reflect on it more. That's why I think it has value to think about it while you're still alive. And I was reading a book literally called The Fear of Death, and it was kind of talking about how, yeah, we believe we're immortal, and this sort of viewpoint begins when we're babies. And the book was kind of describing, it really clicked, that we're sort of born, and we kind of, although we don't form it in our conscious mind, unconsciously, we think we have superpowers.
You think you're a god in your own realm.
Like, you think you're a god, like you literally make noises. Yeah, you have a tantrum.
Yeah.
You just explode out whatever it is that you're feeling, and things happen in the world around you. People show up and they serve your needs.
Yeah.
And that's like the early formative parts of your mind. And then all of a sudden it starts to change. All of a sudden you start getting told, no, you need to do that yourself.
Yeah.
Your needs stop being met so reactively. And then that starts transforming into, no, now you need to stop doing that thing. You need to stop just expressing like your wants and your needs and your desires. You need to contain them. You need to look after them for yourself. And you know, in those early years, you also start beginning to realize that you're an individual. Oh shit, I'm not just attached to these other beings that appear around me. I am my own individual. And then all of a sudden your mortality starts creeping in, and then so too does your understanding of death. And that in those early stages, there's a crazy amount of the process.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. It's I remember being as a kid, like I grew up in a my mum I remember as a kid, my mum was sort of, she's semi-religious, like she's not completely Christian and that, but she believes there's a God up there and things like that. And I don't know, so I was kind of brought up on that, but there was a still point to me that sort of got very scared of
the idea of
it. Like, what if that isn't the truth, and what if there is?
Should we stick this little light on?
Yeah.
Finding the natural path.
Yeah.
There is a natural bugs. There's
everywhere.
Natural bugs. Do some chops. Shall we go finish this back at the apartment? We'll go get the actual proper camera. I don't even know why we're suffering with nightfall hitting this hard.
It was fun.
We'll go continue it.
It's ridiculous. If there wasn't so many bugs, it'd be
Hey, let's fucking flee. Go! Go, Ginge! Go!
Bag's open.
Is it? Where's the soju?
In the bag.
Where's the soju? Oh, you got the soju.
Yeah.
Alright.
Is your bag up? Is it? It's up, isn't it?
Do it up. You said it was open.
No, my bag was open.
Oh. Right. Go! Go, man! Go! Oh, man, why'd you...
What? Did I have to say there were snakes?
Oh, why did you have to put snakes in my mind, man?
There's always snakes.
Right, it's right, we got a light. God, it's so loud out here. That sounds like rattlesnakes.
No, that's crickets.
Crickets? They're even worse.
Go that way.
This way.
Just lose the light so you can see where you are.
Go!
You're running off with the light, bud.
Go, mate!
They got us.
They got us! Or we got them.
Did we get them?
Did we get them?
Did we get them?
Did they think that was all live? It kind of gave it away. Nightfall suddenly hitting. What a gear shift.
Really?
But cheers, guys. Hello.
I was in a fist bump, then I was getting too
Watching so much
Strangers of Paradise. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. We retreated back to safety.
We did.
Got a lot more of a way through this soju than I expected.
Yeah, I've still got quite a bit left actually.
Yeah. Cheers once again
Cheers. Yes.
to your granddad.
Yes.
To his day.
Yeah.
And to you guys. Cheers. Where you be at, guys? Has anyone got a bevy? Even if it be a cup of tea?
Oh, Kazuya caught and the sky gave it away.
Did it?
I thought that's what happened in Malaysia, Kazuya. It just goes light and then dark. It's like,
Was it obvious? But yeah, we've had a very introspective day.
we have indeed.
And I was taking the opportunity to kind of scat Final Fantasy deaths. Done really, really well.
Yeah.
But kind of even the ones that it's not just necessarily done through a grand old death scene. Like Zack Fair's. Spoiler alert, he dies, mate.
Why did you tell me that for?
Crisis Core Reunion, get ready.
You ruined it for me, man.
He's looking forward to Crisis Core Reunion. One of the hardest, but also the most beautiful, inspiring deaths in the series.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
You spoke about it a lot, like,
Yeah.
telling me it's...
Because we were kind of reflecting on like, what's a life well lived, man? What is it? Is it following your purpose? Is it following your meaning? Is it kind of what we're attempting to do, which is go on pursuits, see the world, have
I was
experiences.
going to say run away from everything.
Run away from everything. Gain memories.
Gain memories,
Well,
yes.
that's the one. That's really the big one
Yeah.
that we sort of landed on.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were scatting. Hours in the dark. Fuzz Nugget, what's up? Chugs that Fiji water. I saw Carly Boy in the chat.
Yeah, where is Carly Boy?
He's lurking. He's loitering. I don't know about you guys, how death either resonates in your personal life, if it's something you never really think about.
Yeah.
If there's a Final Fantasy death, or even just any video game death, you always reference Red Dead Redemption.
I do.
The fat
Not
one.
many games make me cry, but
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption 2's...
It is. It gets you because as we were kind of scatting somewhere in the end of that video, it's something that's very easy to put on the back burner of your thoughts.
Yeah.
There's so many distractions, and you kind of believe you're always going to be here.
Mm.
You never
Sorry,
really think about it. But I was kind of doing like some research and looking around and what other philosophers and Stoics and Heidegger, for example, presented the idea that it's very valuable to talk about and think about death, to live a good life, something that can have a profound effect for us here and now, and that it can sort of change your habits, your perspectives, and also make sure you don't get to that stage where you've missed the boat on things.
It happens a lot.
Shadow creeps up on you.
It does happen a lot. When you see people on their... You've heard of many people on their deathbed. They've been like, I wish I'd done this in life. I wish I'd done that.
That's
wish
what I
I'd
don't
been-"
want. I don't want a
Yeah.
life full of regrets
Yeah.
and wishes that I would do. I would say one of the things I do like, it's both terrible and fantastic at the same time, is that when I do get that sense that time is a wasting, and little things that can trigger that. Even a fridge magnet quote. Even all the billionaires in the world, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Uncle Jeff, even with all their accumulated wealth, they couldn't buy one extra second in the day.
No.
That's how valuable time is. And crazy we put a price tag on it, man.
Yeah.
We do. My worth is £9.50 an hour. And you spend it for that price tag out of necessity. And it's always sat with me personally. It's always something that's crept out the woodwork.
Yeah.
And it's been that sort of thing that I try to repress, and I think that's kind of where some of my gaming habits come from. It's like I'm either doing something really worthwhile and fulfilling, or I'm doing nothing.
Yeah.
I oscillate on big extremes that way, and that's why, yeah, 1 minute I'll be playing World of Warcraft for like 6 years of my life, day in, day out.
It's really
And then, the next minute, like, God, I need to go. I need to have experience. Let's go to the shamans down in the jungles of Peru. Let's go bikepacking through the wilderness. Let's go on fat old Asia tour.
What am I doing with my life?
What am I doing? But I like that approach because it builds memories. And yeah, like 2 fun fantasies we really picked out, because I've been talking to you a lot about Type 0.
You have. Yeah.
But we've also just played 10 and now finished Strangers of Paradise. And there's an interesting link between all of those, because you've got like Yuna at the end, man, her speech, where she's like, those who have come, those who have gone, remember them.
Yeah, remember them.
And how beautiful that hits on like one side, and like you feel it. And it's not like a literal death, because Tidus just sort of fades. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. There's not like an actual death scene in 10. No one actually like falls over and dies. But the fact that the whole time you thought, someone pointed out well in the chat, sort of halfway through the game, you realise Yuna's been marching to her death, which was interesting to hear. That the reason that story came about is Najima had been reading kamikaze pilot magazines. So the Japanese kamikazes, they would just drive their planes into
ships. It was
ships to bring them down. And
perfect way to go.
He read a lot of magazines about those experiences and the families, and that inspired him for 10. This idea that someone knows about their fate and is going at it willingly.
Yeah.
They've already accepted it. And the pivot, where it ends up being actually Tidus's kind of fate, because again, it's him sort of fading out of the dream. And it's just such a beautifully woven story. I don't know if you had the same feeling.
Yeah. 10. Oh, it's going to go down as... I wish I had played it sooner. I wish I played a lot... Yeah, got into Final Fantasy sooner, to be honest. But 10 is going to definitely stick in my mind as one of my fondest memories, for sure.
Yeah. And how that felt versus Type 0, which I'm always chewing his ear off about. How, in Type 0, that world is based around like cycles of war and just crazy amounts of death. I did a video calculating how many, and it was something like 7.8 quintillion deaths in that game.
Quintillion.
Wow. Yeah, it's like the title. Most savage game in like ever, not in just Final Fantasy, ever. Like, show me a game that has 7.8 quintillion deaths. But in that game, because there's so much death, the gods have made it so that when someone dies, you don't remember them. And that it's there to ease suffering, ease the pain of it. And that seems like a mercy, but what Type 0 did is and it really hit me when people were dying and people weren't remembering them, because it felt so wrong. It felt so wrong, and it felt all the sadder for it, even more than someone suffering with grief, death. And it showed up in the game in a fantastic way, in like a hollowness. It's like people didn't know why they were sad.
Yeah.
They had no reason to be sad because they didn't know who the person was, but they know they lost something.
Yeah.
And that emptiness wasn't as painful as when you got the memory, but because it was hollow and it was empty, it was somehow worse.
Yeah, I can see that. Is obviously when you lose somebody, it's very hard at the start. Like, I mean, I'm sure for some people it will get easier over time, but you're always going to have that inherent sadness. But the fact that you can
over time, right,
still remember those good memories you had with them, and remember how they were beforehand, and it's helped. But to be able to sort of feel grief for something and not realise why you're feeling it, I can see why it's such a
and I felt Warcraft mid. I was the best disc priest in all the land. Carly boy, ayahuasca, man, for sure. We've been talking about it so much, man. We spoke about 2 hours of ayahuasca. If anyone doesn't know, it's a type of plant medicine. I've spoken about it on the channel before. You probably, if anyone who doesn't, no, it's something you really need to research and respect and have a calling for it. Yeah. It's like 10 years of therapy in one night. You'll sit in the darkness and you will die. And you will die. But it will be the good kind of dying. And this is what we've kind of talked about. Like, you've kind of got like the literal dying, and then you've got death in life that happens in day-to-day life. which you've got the kind of dying where you die before you die, which is you lose your compassion, you lose your will, you lose your purpose, you lose that sense of self, and you just fall into a hole. I'm sure we've all been there. It happens. And then you've got the kind of death where it's beautiful, like an ego death. We were listening to Polyphia's new album. We got any Polyphia fans in the house?
Oh, I asked the other day for people, and they were like, "Don't know."
They slap.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've got a song called Ego Death, and that kind of death where you suddenly shed off like these beliefs about yourself, like these fixed, rigid views, or these self-deprivations.
Stop you from growing sometimes.
Yeah, the limited views of yourself. And that's a beautiful kind of death. And equally, you can have, I don't know if you guys have ever had it, moments where you feel reborn. And the thing is, both of these things can happen through either atheist or God, but that's the other thing that Final Fantasy kind of weaves. Like, you sort of mentioned your parents being religious, because that ties very much into death, right? You've got religious belief systems. They kind of go with the notion that there is an afterlife, that up there it's eternal paradise, free from suffering, and also up there, some sense of good and evil, like good rewards will be rewarded, mopeds be zooming. If you guys can even hear that. Psychs are a beautiful thing, mate. They are really beautiful. They're a key, a tool.
Yeah.
But they need to be used right.
Yeah, used correctly.
That's the one thing I always try, because we had a discussion on this about glorifying them. And I understand why YouTube even have the policy of not wanting to glorify. People just come out, they trip mad nuts.
Yeah.
And I always try to say, like, setting, environment, the people you're with, set intentions. Don't mix alcohol. Don't get to be greasy takeaway. You're not making the most of it at that time. And we've done both versions, right?
Yes, I have, yeah.
Well, we've done it in a fun way, and then we've done it where it's like, I really want to move past something. I want to gain something. The thing with Psychs is you can feel like you're dying. And it gives you a real perspective. Like ayahuasca, you're in the dark. And I felt myself go into this cold, pitch black, dark abyss. There was no me. There was no up, no down, nothing. And this was forever. This was eternity. Terrifying. And it gives you this sense of like time to sit with it. Like, what are you terrified of? What are you scared of losing? And it always comes back to the same thing. Well, it's my sense of self. It's who I am. It's my identity. It's me. I don't want to lose me.
People are very scared to let go of that. It's
because we're attached to it.
Yeah.
We're very, very attached to us. And I agree with Buddhism and Stoicism and a lot of ancient philosophies that is why we suffer, because of that attachment to it. Because the thing I felt is that when I finally let go and I accepted it, all of a sudden that cold, terrifying turned into this warm, magical, motherly embrace. It was beautiful. I felt all my hang-ups disappear. Yeah. And we were talking a lot about that sort of duality of dying. How kind of throughout history, there's always been those two recognitions with man. It's like terrible and terrifying and beautiful. We were saying, Strangers of Paradise. Got like Lich.
You have, which is a very evil-looking fiend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Yeah.
But then you go to something like Final Fantasy 13-2, where Etro is the goddess of death. And while we don't see much of her, Lightning becomes her champion. And it's all about, there's like a feminine grace part. There's like a necessity attached to it. And she becomes Etro in Valhalla, which
we were talking.
Is Norse.
Yeah, and we were talking about Hela as well, weren't we? That
Hela.
You described. I hadn't seen a depiction of Hela.
Yeah.
Apart from the Marvel films, but
so many people's only references to Norse are through Marvel, which does trigger me a bit, especially God of War in 2 days.
We're looking forward to that. We've got it downloaded.
Like Fat Thor showing up, and people are like, why is he not buff like Chris Hemsworth? Thor's supposed to be buff and sexy.
But Hela's like a sort of she's half woman, like beautiful woman and half skeleton. You said, wasn't she? She's like,
yeah, that's how the Norse depicted her: half terrifying and dead, and the other beautiful and succulent and full of life. Yeah. Throughout history, it's kind of how it's been perceived by all of man, and finding which is the reconciliation you make with it. I personally feel like a lot of people think they're not scared of dying. I don't know. Where do you guys stand on the ultimate existential question? Are you scared of dying? But also, I think more importantly and more kind of interesting to me, the question I really want to ask, what do you think happens versus what would you like to happen? And those are two different questions, because when I spoke about how either atheistic or religious people view it, there's the idea that atheist people will see religious people as believing in an afterlife because you just can't deal with dying. You can't deal with the reality. You need to make up fairy tales to comfort yourself.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, there's a lot of religious people, and then this is like all base thinking. I think there's a version where you can have balanced atheists and balanced religious people. So I'm just like laying out a baseline. None of this is cut and dry, basically. Yeah. Who will see atheist people as nihilistic. And the question that I kind of had is, if we had to pick like 4 outcomes, I sort of sketched these earlier. Can you remember what they were? I posed to Ginge like 4 potentialities. This is how deep we got. This is what the Sophie has done.
Yeah. So obviously obviously, it's not obvious. First one was oblivion, wasn't it? So
just total oblivion.
Completely nothing
you're
afterwards.
Done, you're finished.
Yeah.
Is that? I kind of wonder if you do arrive at that as either your want or what you think happens. Where does that really come from? Does that come from like, life is kind of sucky and I'm happy to hitch on out of this train?
I think.
Or are you like, actually, no, it's beautiful that it's here, it's now, it's finite, it's fleeting, and that's actually part of the beauty of it, and I don't need to add any extra to that.
Yeah, I think the Oblivion one is probably the most reasonable. I don't want to say reasonable, the realistic one to think of, like people go to, but it's the one people fear the most. Like,
I think it's realistic, and this is where we're kind of looking at like Nietzsche's thinking, and we was looking at something called the eternal return. So I'd never heard of this before, but this is something that the Stoics and Nietzsche and other philosophers kind of landed on. Is the new age of science kind of threw in an idea of do away with the metaphysical, that we should only go based on what we know, what we can perceive, what is sensory. I think there was it's either called perspectivism, rejection of metaphysics, empiricism, which is kind of like skepticism.
Yeah.
Some people call it realism. If you can't see it and you don't know anything else outside of that, you're just making up in your head, do away with it. But Nietzsche questioned that, and he wrote a book called God is Dead, where he kind of posed that he thinks it's good that religious thinking has kind of moved aside. So it sort of broke down that rigid, kind of indoctrinated structure of life. But at the same time, he lamented that it is going to invite nihilism for a while. People are going to get nihilistic and kind of over-identified with the mere material world. And that's going to lead to an era of greed and kind of semi-insanity, which, if I don't feel like the age we're kind of in now, I don't know what else does. And he kind of pondered the idea that there was still value, even if you don't necessarily pin your entire belief system on it, to believing that there's something like a cosmic karma or an afterlife, or that what you do here has value and worth and meaning. So there was the oblivion side, and then the second one was the other part of Nietzsche's thinking, which is the eternal return. So this is option number 2, which I settled on this for a while, honestly, as what I believed happened. which is when they came about with the law of thermodynamics, when that was invented. Do you know what that bad boy is?
No. No.
Well, law of thermodynamics is basically energy is never lost. Nothing is ever completely lost. It only recycles and transforms into different forms. And the Stoics kind of picked up on this as well. Like, it wasn't Nietzsche's, it wasn't his idea.
No, it was kind of a lot sooner than that. Was it like 300 BC, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Athens in 300 BC. I didn't even know that the father of Stoicism was a guy called
Zeno.
Zeno of Citium, a Hellenistic philosopher who founded the Stoic school of philosophy, which he taught in Athens, based on the moral ideas of the Cynics. Stoicism led to a great emphasis on goodness, peace of mind, gained from living a life of virtue in accordance with nature. And honestly, Stoicism, guys, if I could recommend a book, man, 365 Meditations of Stoics. I was attached to that book, weren't I, man? Every day.
Yeah.
And then I met a guy halfway cycling around the world, some Japanese kid working in a sushi bar. He fed me. He fed me, he gave me drink, all for nothing. Gave me like 3 massive punnets of sushi. And there's me, just a hobo in the wild. I had nothing to offer. I remember
in the video call, actually.
I've got
too much sushi, I can't eat it.
You know what I did with that sushi, guys? I had salmon in the morning. And of course, if someone offers you food while I'm a vegan, I'm not above accepting somebody's generosity. So, of course, I ate it. But when I had salmon left over, because I couldn't stuff any more sushi in my face. Simply couldn't. What I did is I cycled down to the ocean, I got the raw salmon, and I set it back free.
Did you?
I set it back free in the ocean.
Did it swim away? That's how it works, isn't it?
If anything, it was just to make me feel better. It's like, maybe something else will eat it.
Something would have definitely in it. Little crabs that would have come along.
Yeah. And that's kind of what the value of
returning,
the eternal return is that with the law of thermodynamics, it kind of changed scientists' thinking in, okay, so if energy is never destroyed, it just changes into different forms. Well, then what happens with that across all of time and space and infinity? And that conditions can keep meeting again and again and again. And the constitution of what you are now, whatever conscious elements that exist that are you, could appear again. That's one idea, that you could become another conscious being.
Yeah.
And whether that, of course, that passes down genetically. So you've got like ancestral memory. And I don't know if like past lives, man, I've gone back and forth on like if there's a soul and if that past life experiences just come from tapping into some ancestral stuff. Or whether it's actually that.
That's one thing I was talking about Assassin's Creed earlier, wasn't I, actually, with you?
Yeah.
And that's another thing they go into in those games is ancestral memories and being able to tap into that in your DNA and bring out abilities and things like that and relive stuff through that. It's pretty cool.
So essentially, like, exactly the live stream, darling. Yeah, this is what kind of, the thing is with the eternal return is, would you be more happy if you just knew that the energy that makes up you, when you die, it'll go into the soil. And it'll feed a tree or a rock, it'll fertilize a piece of soil. You will become a zucchini, Pickle Rick, and then some goat will eat it, and then that goat will be eaten by someone else. And do you know what I mean? It's just pure energetic. The second idea of that is that, okay, the universe is intelligent, and your intelligence recycles into the universe in kind of like a panpsychism, conscious energy kind of way, which that's more the life stream. So the life stream, which ties with memory, again, your memory goes in, becomes part of life energy, that goes on to form other living things. It's not you, it's not who you are, but that a part of you just goes back to the heart. And is that an idea that you either, again, like or believe happens?
I like that one. I think you can take some comfort that you're actually still giving back to the world afterwards. And I can kind of, even on a physical level, you can kind of believe it happens, because even if you're buried.
This is kind of trying to put like a scientific rationale on it.
in terms of the men's, like the spiritual side of it, whether that happens or not is.
And I think it's valuable in the sense that the argument I've always hated, though I don't ascribe as atheist anymore, but when I was one, is if religious people would say, oh, without believing in God, why do you even do moral things? How, without believing in the beauty of a higher being, can you even have higher, beautiful thought? And that's always pissed me off because, of course you can.
Yeah.
I've seen people like Neil deGrasse Tyson or individuals. I've even seen it fell in my own little wonder where you look at the universe, it's so complex, so vast, crazy amounts of like stars and galaxies and like forces that act in the universe. And like if you think about all the sequence of events that brought you here, not only like you made of stardust.
Well, I was going to say that's what Brian Cox. I think I've shown you a bit of Brian Cox before. That's one of the
Brian
things
Cox
he says.
is really passionate.
Yeah, he says that he takes when people ask him what's the meaning of life, and he was like, well, look up into the light sky and things like that. And he said the fact that we've come from stardust and that is enough for him to be like
in love with it.
In love with it, yeah.
And that's the main thing, I think, is like what is the vehicle of thinking about life or death? Doesn't matter what it is. What makes you more in love with the experience? And yeah, there's definitely a way to be like, yeah, I don't need to retain who I am. I don't need there to be an afterlife or a paradise. I'm happy that I've been here and something of me gets to go on. 3 girls in your country.
XX18.
3 girls. There's 3 girls in our city. Honestly, 3 girls, stay away because Brianna will absolutely wreck you up. I promise you that. She will destroy you.
Bro, we should pray to the sun. Praise the sun.
Praise the sun. I really like the live stream ideas. And given enough time, energy matter would eventually form the same person again many times over. Yeah, that's literally the thinking of the eternal return. Yeah, some of the precursors actually came. I saw someone suggest in the comments Epictetus. I love Epictetus. Marcus Aurelius kind of gets like most credit on Stoicism, but actually Epictetus.
Yeah, I haven't looked in much.
He was almost. I think he was actually one of his mentors, if not his mentor. But it was Epictetus from his line. And Epictetus is actually what Nietzsche piggybacked off with the thinking of the eternal return. That we will go on. Actually, it came from, so Nietzsche may have drawn upon a number of sources in determining the formulation of the theory. He had studied Pythagorean and Stoic philosophy with familiar works, from Epictetus. Many encountered references. There was a really beautiful quote that Nietzsche came out with. Because like while he was a realist thinker, his main goal was to try to break down linear thinking. And that's why you kind of see him all back and forth. At one minute he's talking about angels and demons, next he's talking about like harsh, cold realities. And yeah, Nietzsche's a really interesting guy. But one quote, where was it that I really sung to me, man? Yeah, that was it. Amor fati. It was a big belief of his. Amor fati is a Latin phrase that may be translated as love or fate, or to be in love with one's fate, regardless of the outcome. And that is used to describe an attitude where you see everything happening in your life as meaningful, purposeful, including suffering and loss, as good, or at the very least necessary. Amor fati is associated with Nietzsche's so-called eternal recurrence, the idea that over an infinite period of time, everything recurs infinitely. From this, he developed a desire to be willing to live exactly the same life over and over for all eternity. It kind of brings the third possibility of what happens when we clock out, which was also kind of type 0. Type 0 and also Strangers of Paradise, which we just finished, which is reincarnation.
Yeah.
You keep going, you keep coming back until you learn the lessons again and again. And we were going deep on that, like, because you were kind of like, so is that like a linear thing? Like,
yeah.
Because honestly, guys, when it comes to the question of what you believe and what you hope, this is where I think
kind of one can dictate the other. You end up believing what you want to believe.
Yeah.
I actually fell into that, and I've fallen into it willingly, in the sense that mad atheist. Then I started having experiences that made me feel, now I've been here before, I've done this before. The conditions of why I am the way I am, the experiences I've had, why my twin is the biggest tether that makes me believe this. that I'm learning, keep learning. And I started like thinking it that I would like that to be the way this world works. And then that led me to lead into that further, and now it's why I actually believe.
Yeah.
They were doing this again and again and again, and with each happening, we're slowly becoming more and more drawing closer to our higher selves.
Yeah, you're almost gaining experience.
Gaining XP, man.
Gaining XP
Until you get to level 99. And also just like Buddhism and like why phenomenal beings come into the world. People like Tesla or Buddha or Jesus, or just these beings who they are and what they went on to be didn't reflect their nature and nurture in the slightest. Not in the slightest. People who feel like old souls, people who have strong intuitions and knowings. And for me and my twin at least, we were both born up in poverty with criminals, drug lords, the worst of the worst. And yet both of us just, from day one, knew. Both parents, criminals. All siblings, criminals.
Yeah,
but we both knew that it was wrong. And it was between the two of us that we held this locked belief. And it got us out of that place. It got us out of that spiral. And then when I like reflect back on it, I'm like, man, if Jade was like a soul who needed to come here and progress off a point, I need to progress off a point, and that we could do that together, and that's why we were put here. I could really see that, and I could just feel it on a level. And then ayahuasca sort of ripped that right to the forefront, showed me that even more. Again, whether it's all real, because here's the thing, guys, though I believe that, I'm also in this weird state where I don't believe. And that's kind of what Nietzsche is suggesting, is that you can be post-rational, which is there's pre-rational, which is you absolutely believe.
Yeah.
The religion that you're born in, there's a heaven, there's a hell, that's it. Don't fuck with me on that. Then there's rational thinking, which is, okay, I'm only going to address the things we know. But there's a problem in that, because there's so many unknowns in life. And there's so much reconciliation in our lives that you just can't know the answer to. And that's where post-rational comes in, which is toy with these ideas, ponder these ideas, see if they sing to you. This is what I really like about paganism. It's like, try on a different religion.
Yeah.
Try on a different deity. Learn what that deity is about. Maybe that one embodies, no, I'm going to choose Ganesha for a while. And he's going to teach me about abundance and money and wealth and how to change my perception on that. Now I'm going to shift on over to Kali, and she's going to teach me about death and the ferociousness of it, and sort of letting go of my anxieties. Like, yeah, that's kind of what paganism suggests. I swap around with it.
Yeah, and there's no harm in it, is there? Really, like.
Well, it's not that there's no harm in it. It's just that it's really hard to do, because how do you embody believing in something? Not believing it. That's the problem. Like, even toying with the idea, if on some level you think it's nonsense, how do you get around that? Because we were talking about that with ayahuasca. You felt like you didn't connect through that strongly. No. You had an experience, but you didn't connect through in the same way that me and my twin, who, the reason why it's crazy is totally separate. We didn't speak for years. She ended up shifting into more or less the same beliefs within the same kind of like 6 month to 1 year time frame. I kind of got there first. She thought I was crazy. She thought I was crazy. She didn't think of any of it. And it does. It sends you insane at first.
And now she's
these
following,
kind of questions.
Yeah, following the same path, completely separate. And one thing we both noticed with Aya is you have to have a communication with the medicine, with the psychedelic. And without that, you don't get an answer. Now that doesn't make sense to the rational brain. It doesn't make sense to speak to a a plant that's combined with a root, and that the shamans are singing to summoning spirits and have a dialogue with it. It could sound like nonsense.
It sounds crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever. And yet, when we did it and when I did it, it's the first time in my life I saw you get an active response. They say you feel like you've got a therapist in your head, and not one that just, that's what's so strange about it, because I've done like mushrooms, I've done LSD, and it's very much, I just have like enhanced brain power right now, and I can do my own brain dinky things on a higher level.
Limitless.
Yeah, kind of Limitless. I love that film, man.
Yeah, it's a good film.
Limitless is a great film. But no, ayahuasca is very different. She communicates with you. That's why I got this, man. I got old ayahuasca. And like, she'll post things to you that you've never thought about before, man. Never considered.
Yeah.
I felt something calling me out of my bullshit. I felt myself tell a little lie that I didn't even know was a lie all my life. She's like, she'll catch you out on it.
Yeah. Watch it, mate.
Watch it. I've got your number. It's crazy.
Yeah.
A really crazy, profound, wilding experience that all it's kind of done is not made me believe in anything too heavily. All it's done is made me know that I don't know. And sometimes that's an okay position.
It is. I
think that's what theism is kind of there for. I know. Are you guys religious, atheist, or theistic? Man?
Yeah, see, I never had that experience as I spoke to you about before, I never had that experience on ayahuasca. It's which is a reason why I want to go back to it at some point. Just to see if I can, because it isn't, like we said before, it isn't something you can just book up and go, like, and even like doing the dieta, which is like eating certain food and things like that. There's still a lot more
very
prep.
strict.
Very, very strict. But you still have to do more work than that. You have to, I mean, like you were doing sort of meditation that went before and preparing yourself, and even you said not talking to people before the actual ceremony itself, because you start, because so many people there were
everyone like
talking to each other.
They were going up to each other, strangers, and it's like you've got all week to speak to each other.
Yeah,
and you're going up, you go, are you scared? Are you scared? Oh, what are you here for? Don't ask them questions. You're here for you, man.
Yeah.
And meditation teaches you, because it teaches you to detach from kind of the other aspect of death, which is when you're over associated with your identity. And you sort of mentioned, you said earlier about the reeds.
Oh, the ancient Egyptians.
And how they put like their trinkets and their items.
Yeah, well, when they used to bury the ancient Egyptians, or the pharaohs and things like that, well, any of the Egyptians they used to mummify, they used to put a lot of their possessions there because they believed they would take them into the afterlife, and it's a very...
and we don't even have to go back that far to... I've seen it recently. A friend who lost his father, for example, went into his house full of, quite frankly, shit, and didn't want to get rid of any of it. It's his, it's who he is, it's who he was. And I know I shouldn't say it like that, because anything that brings comfort, anything that brings condolence, beautiful. But the thing that sticks with me is that those items weren't that person, man. You're not items. You never were, you never will be, you never have been. It's the greatest like trap and trick to think that who you are is what you've acquired, the sum of your bank account, the sum of your possessions, the clothes that you wear. This is shit that honestly people don't get most of their life. It's why beauty standards are the way they are. It's materialism, like gone hyperdrive. And this is the nihilistic age that Nietzsche warned about, because if you can't conceptualize anything bigger, well then you hang your hat on the base and the superfluous. And that becomes your concept. And I think that's what makes the idea of death even harder. But yeah, the fourth kind of option is the religious one. Because this is also kind of tied in the same. It's like, now there's an afterlife. There's an eternal paradise waiting for me. And when I go up there, I'll be happy forever.
Yeah.
Wow, and I'll never have to come back. And there won't be any more bad vibes. No, that's nice, and it could be the case. It could be the case. The main thing I feel towards that is there's also a massive attachment to that.
Yeah.
It's an attachment because you're doing the same thing. You're scared. You're not certain of what you are, who you are. You've not really answered the questions of like, why am I here and what truly am I? And that's
you can get to I've got nothing wrong with religion at all, but people can get to an unhealthy level by basing their entire life around, I have to do this and that if I want to get through those gates at the top. If they're just constantly, you need to pray to God and things like that and do this and that and go to church every day, and it becomes, I get that people find comfort.
It becomes an attachment.
But it's
an extra attachment.
But it's taking you away from, I feel like sometimes it will take away from the meaning of your life because you're devoting yourself to something that you don't even know if it exists.
Yeah, and this is kind of like, I had big beef, guys. The less I think, the better, but it's hard to stop. Is that the case for you, Mega Magical Megan? I've wondered this as well. Like, do some people have these thoughts? Do you ever find these things creep up on you, these considerations? Or does it not really come into your world? And because for me, it has so much, and for you, not so much. And we were kind of discussing what that is, what that difference
is. Because you're asking me, and I wasn't, you were asking me these questions, weren't you? Like, which ones you think you would like and what you wouldn't. And I was like, I haven't really thought about it. I've never really come to that sort of conclusion with it.
And the thing I really felt, and I had this when I was, so when I was actually going to see Bree, beautiful Bree in Pennsylvania, I got into a taxi with an Islamic driver, a Muslim, and we were having a great back and forth. When I say a great back and forth, I mean, he was telling me everything about his religion, but he was saying it with such a passion and enthusiasm. I was like, go for it, man. Go for it. That's a stage that I'm glad I've got to. Back in the day, I hated Christianity. I hated religious speak. I was that kind of person. I will sit you on the hot seat and I will roast you for your nonsense fairy tale beliefs. I'm so glad I've got past that arsehole stage. And that's why I just can't stand atheism, because there's so much of it that is still that. Someone references God on like a post, someone dies, and it's like, rest in peace. Like, may God X, Y, and Z. So I'll be like, your fairy tale God, like your father, like wizard daddy in the sky, could have helped out, but he didn't. I stopped believing such nonsense. It's like, damn, man. Take the foot off the gas a bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, so as I was through that point, I was having this chat with him and bouncing, and telling him about all his beliefs, and he was presenting it as this really open. We accept this, we accept that, we don't put pressure, we don't force anyone into our beliefs and our views. I was like, no, yeah, okay, yeah, that's nice, that's really cool. And then I just threw out the simple question after he'd done a monologue. I said, so what do you think after we die? And he said, oh, well, we go to paradise and this happens and that happens and that happens and that happens. I said, oh, okay, so what do you think about, do you not think like maybe reincarnation? Do you think we reincarnate? Do you think we come back? And the switch I saw in him was like, no, we do not. That does not happen. No, we go there, and that is that. And there was this tone shift.
Yeah.
And I just smiled. I just felt myself smile because I saw it. I saw that moment where it catches religious people, where they want to believe that they're open-minded and they're accepting and they're free thinking, that they're able to consider different positions and whatnot. But the second you push, I wasn't even pushing the button. I asked it in a genuine way. You see that kind of vehement attachment come through. It comes through in a kind of almost anger.
Yeah.
And it's why all these wars have happened over, I need to prove that my religion is the right one.
Yeah.
Because you need to believe it yourself. And it's at that point that's kind of pre-rational. That's the pre-rational state of religion. And I feel like a lot of rational people are at the state of hating on religion because the most common sample of it is pre-rational. But the post-rational, it's kind of yet to come through, and like the use of it. And it's kind of where my perspective has really shifted with it. And I've just found for me personally, it's been it's opened my eyes. It's made me able to be more loving, more caring, more considerate than, like, you know, I have an arrogant little demon in me, right?
He does. I think everybody does. They don't. They some. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
you've known me a lot of years. Have you noticed? I've never asked you this. Have you noticed the transition at all?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like from obviously knowing you since school and that, and
Because you remember the period that it hit me, all of this thinking.
yeah,
It was like in a week. It was a wild week where all my belief systems were just dropping away, and I was fumbling, I was falling. It was like Alice down
yeah,
in Wonderland.
and it was I could see the transition for sure, and it was an interesting time because I could see and I think you said Jade has gone through the same thing with it, is because you're learning all these new things, and it becomes, would you say it was an overload of stuff that you wanted to tell everyone? You wanted to let everyone know.
That's the other big problem with it.
Should have been, everybody should be doing this sort of this stuff, and
that's where you think you've gone post-rational, but you're actually going pre-rational. And this is what woke culture is.
yeah,
This is what woke culture is, which is there's a way to bring like a spiritual dialogue and like talk about my spirit, which is just another way. I mean, you can literally describe it as a soul if you literally believe it, or you could just believe, oh no, there's deeper elements, there's core like truths, things that are way deeper than even the you've got conscious, unconscious mind, and you've got something even deeper than that, and that deserves discussion. And woke culture hijacks on that so hard, and they get to that stage where they need to. It's no different to a religion, but then also neither is atheism. Just this need to preach and slap it over everything.
yeah,
And it's across the aisle on all fronts. A demon known as Chaos Pence. It was him. It was him. He came out. He got me. So yeah, I mean, going back to that ultimate main question, I'll shoot at you guys. I don't know if you've landed on an answer with it, but if those are the four options, if you had to pick one that you think is the case and one that you would like to be the case, the four options being total annihilation, oblivion. We don't have to call it annihilation. Don't have to see it as that. But you're here, you're gone, lights out, end of. Second one, eternal return. So the law of thermodynamics dictates that you will go on to be a fuel source for something else, but it won't be you in the slightest. Third one is you are a soul and you're reincarnating and you're learning again and again and again until you hit nirvana, if that's what Buddhism describes it as. Which the reason why I landed on that kind of personally quickly is you get figures like Buddha and Jesus and whatnot, they hit attainment early days. And Nirvana describes that once you hit that state, you can basically go on to be other higher form.
yeah,
Whether that's a fourth dimensional being, return back to the source. No, because we are the creation and there's a creator, but we also have creation power. We'll go on to like a higher calling, a higher purpose. Yeah. Hell, maybe we'll start forming planets ourselves. Maybe we'll start playing around, like what angels or spirit guides. I don't know, maybe whatever created like archetypes. We started to talk about aliens, man. Aliens. Like if there are aliens that are like highly conscious, like what kind of zodiacs do they have? How do they measure time? What calendars do they have?
yeah.
Do they have the same kind of archetypes that Carl Jung spoke about, like the hero, the villain, the fool, the sage? Do they even have these, or would they have entirely other?
Depends on what the type of alien you're talking about. Like if it's a hive mind or something like that,
Is it a hive mind?
They just all working as one big.
But then you start going into like Prometheus thinking, like, are there higher beings that are jumping in to humanity to advance us and move us along? The pyramids were one of those, or Anunnakis and Pleiadians. Anyway, without getting too bogged down, that one, that soul evolves and reincarnates, or the fourth one, there's paradise, and you go to heaven or you go to hell based on your karma. those four options,
Hmm.
what do you think happens, and what would you like?
So, I actually,
Lilith is our creator. Big naked Ray. Big naked Ray. Dude, we are watching.
What's that? Big Naked Ray.
Big naked Ray.
Who's?
Evangelion.
Oh, okay.
The creator was Lilith, and I ain't even gonna bother. Don't even. Why you gonna spiral me on Evangelion? Why you gonna do that?
Right. I spoke back to the question then.
Yeah.
Is I think actually the more reason one. I think what happens is that it's the eternal return. Obviously,
Yeah.
in terms of not being yourself after death, but you feed back into energy, like your energy goes out and feeds into other stuff, like whether it be, like you say,
Plants, trees.
Plants. It's just the most.
Why if well, that, I mean, that begs the question: is like, okay, so is the universe mechanistic? Is it just energy regurgitating from the Big Bang? Everything is cogs and wheels, essentially. Atomos, that came from the Greeks, which is everything in the universe can be dissected down, cut in half. I think atomos literally means to cut in half. And the world is based on the principle of matter. And there's no permeating intelligence to it that exists.
So that's where you threw me on there.
I
don't know.
It's tough.
It's a tough one. Like,
would you like the universe to have some sort of inherent intelligence or purpose, or that its expansion, which scientists thought would end by now?
Yeah.
They thought we'd be going into a contraction phase, but it just keeps going. I did see one. It's called the torque theory, which is that time and space works more like a torque.
Right. Okay.
And that the evolution and the expansion feeds information back on itself in like a torque spiral, and that's why it just keeps ever expanding, and that there's actually an intelligence to causing that sort of self. It's like an AI. Like the universe is an AI, basically, constantly growing. Would you prefer that, or think that over? Nah, it's just matter.
You know what I really prefer is if I died, woke up, and my alien friend said, "Did you feel that?"
With an alien bong in your hand. It's like, yo, bro, did you feel that? Oh,
I was watching.
But the thing is, dude, what would you describe it as? You'd be like, dude, that was a bad trip. That was a bad trip. You're like, dude, that was a good trip. We'd just be like, whoa, man, that was just weird. that was just straight up weird.
Yeah.
But you know what? Give us another hit.
Go. Well, I was watching Joe Rogan talking to, what was his? Oh, I can never remember his name. The guy he gets on all the time. They talk about a lot of psychedelics and things like that.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Duncan Trussell.
Duncan Trussell.
Yeah, I love
and he talks about that a lot. Where, what if it is literally you wake up after having this life and you've just been like, woke up in an alien spaceship or something like that, or like anything could be on the cards.
Anything. That's the thing. Anything could be on the cards, man. It could be the void, or you could end up going towards some jackal-headed god who's going to take your heart and place it on some scales, and he's going to weigh it up.
Yeah.
Suddenly one day you might die and wake up with 40 virgins in your bed.
Maybe.
Suddenly you might be peace piping with Noah and Moses. Just like Adam, just being like, yeah, man, you know that shit you went through? My bitch wife ate the apple. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely that excited to find out. But at the same time, I'm kind of am.
It's human curiosity,
It's
isn't
the
it?
curiosity.
Yeah.
And well, that's the thing. It depends how strong your curiosity is on the subject. And I always wonder, how your relationship with the idea of it affects you while you're still alive. Because I always wonder if it's not something that you think about or consider, are you one of those individuals that, because I've seen some people, they live kind of in the here and now, and they're kind of like bubbly and they're jovial and they don't seem to go through these kind of webs. And then you've got individuals who don't think about it at all, but it shows up in this really suppressed way, and it shows up in a lot of dark, heavy emotion. And they're the kind of people where ayahuasca is valuable for them. Like, if somebody's got their life on the up and up, do they really need to do something like ayahuasca? I mean, it could still be valuable.
Yeah.
I think anyone, you know, it's kind of like the idea of therapy. Like, do you have to be effed in the hole, depressed as hell, to go and do therapy? No. Even healthy, balanced, normal people can gain value from therapy. And not necessarily just therapy from a natural, like, proper therapist, but just gain it from having open conversations with the people that are around.
Yeah.
Speaking the truths, man. Speaking the truths. My dream is to get Grey Ellen hooked on. Is that what you would do, dude? Like Paul, like if he was in Paul the movie, but for real, this little being who's just like, teach me about your ways, and he's like, bro, do this, put this in here. Now, really, man?
Soju's starting to kick in and something more funny.
It's like, what would you do with aliens? And I saw a story earlier today, right? Made me chuckle. Some guy created a 300-pound iron coffin. 300-pound iron coffin. This is a serious thing.
Yeah.
That thing will never degrade. He buried it like 50 feet in the ground, yeah? Do you know what he put in it? A bag of flaming hot Cheetos. Why? And not even a party-sized bag.
Or just a small
bag of Cheetos. So that, and he just found it funny that at some point in the future, an advanced civilization will just uncover this and like try to determine from this bag of Cheetos what we were about. Did we worship some sort of like cheetah?
It ain't easy being cheesy.
What did this mean? We're going to bring on his like historian, like future. What's his name? Who's the historian who's kind of out of the box?
Oh,
kind of talking about the pyramids being an electric conduit system.
what, you mean the ancient aliens guy?
No, not
The one you
aliens.
look like.
Yeah, not aliens. Why am I passing on his name? I really respect his work. Oh, no, it's not. It's not one of the McKennas. Well, anyway, like just get a guy like him on to try to decipher like, this bag of Cheetos. And I liked somebody's comment. They'd be like, you know what they would do? They would see right through it, and they'd just be like, yeah, this was the age of dumb shit. This was the age of dumb shit where they thought this was funny. Where trolling was like the big thing, and that would be a reflection of this era we live in. Like,
The troll era.
just the troll era.
Age of trolls.
Is that the era we're really in right now?
I think it could be.
Which I kind of like, because it's kind of like, it kind of falls into what I really resonate with, and we've spoke about. For some reason you mentioned the fool. The fool.
Oh, why did I mention it?
There's something powerful about the
I
fool.
mentioned it
The
because
full arcana,
that
the
was it.
full persona,
Yeah.
the sacred clown. You've got your Joker in persona.
Yeah.
Um,
I mentioned it because it was obviously on the Fool's Missives on Strangers of Paradise. But, what you... Sorry, that soju's going to me as well. It's quite funny.
Dude, we have barely ever drunk out here. This soju is going straight through my rectum and into my brain. I don't know how it got to my rectum first, but there it is. Also, those mosquito bites, man.
Yeah.
We got devoured.
But yeah, the Fool's Missive. It was because of Strangers of Paradise.
The Fool's Missive,
but-
Astos.
Yeah, Assos. Because and then I was listening to it was
someone
Jordan
who
Peterson was talking about
plays
the Fool.
dumber than they really are. Someone who makes light, makes joke, kind of sees everything in a reverse way, which is the kind of thing that I've always felt when death has come up. Say if funerals happened, or Gray, beautiful guy, Gray from the channel.
Yeah.
He came down. He's from where?
He's from Manchester.
He's from Manchester,
Yeah.
but he lives in Russia. came down and his mum died. And everyone was like pouring out, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, like grieve, like that. It's beautiful, beautiful messages. I feel the immediate urge to be like, yo, dude, you know, if she saw you lamenting the way you are right now, she would come down, she'd bonk you so hard. And I wrote it, and then I kind of, there was so many times in my life I second guessed, like, is that appropriate? Is it appropriate to try to make light of serious situations? And it's come up again and again in my life, so many times, where that's my immediate reaction. And sometimes it's, if I've not done it with intention and awareness that I have that trait, that's why that, I don't want to call it an awakening because it seems very egotistical, but that period when my life changed, I really got a sense of who I was and that I could actually use who I am. That the world telling you who you are isn't acceptable when you need to sugarcoat it and refine it and change it and tweak it, which is something you experience at a young age that you kind of pin down as why you feel a lot of fear of speaking, and which was a teacher just coming up and roasting you over an answer on a...
Well, it was, I was in like year 1 of primary school, and at that age, kids, they always want to know ask questions, aren't they? Like, your curiosity is like, that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson always says, is with children, don't
quash their curiosity.
quash the curiosity, because
he gave an example of like jumping in a puddle, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, he sees a kid about to jump in a puddle, and he's like, please let them do it, let them do it.
Yeah,
yes, they'll get messy. Yes, it'll be extra work, but they're getting curious about the world. They want to see how they react when they jump in. And when he sees that parent stop him, say, no, you can't do that. It's like, come on,
just
man.
let them do it.
Let them do it.
Yeah, and I had a teacher that was, I think I was always...
Because it's traumatizing.
Putting my hand up, asking questions, and I think she just one day was like, oh, stop putting your hand up, stop asking questions. And it's not until recently I started thinking about it. Like, maybe it was a... Like,
maybe it was that.
You don't think about it because you're a kid at the time, you just get upset about it and you think of it.
It hit you. Did you remember it hitting you hard in that moment?
Yeah. Real hard. Yeah.
And that's the thing, when you look back on it, you're like, oh, all of my anxiety and worry can't be over something that small. But it is. Because that when you're at that stage, that's how pure you are, man. You are so pure, you are so innocent, you're just learning, like we kind of discussed at the start of the vid. First of all, you think you're invincible and that you can do anything. Then you're told, no, you've got to become a person.
Yeah.
You have to become a person. And you're asked throughout your whole life, what are you going to be? What are you going to be? What are you going to be? And then you try to like grapple with that. And then you try to establish it. And then when you get that hard rejection, that sticks with you big time. And yeah, I think I've told this story before, but for me, my twin, she has the biggest fear of public speaking. So the point is you're holding her back in her coaching career. Massively. She literally just gets tongue-tied. She can't get past it. I don't know why I never told her. Could it have been that? Because again, it's something you just don't consider. But she did ayahuasca. She came to me and she went, yo, Jake, ayahuasca told me this random story. I don't even know if it's real. I don't know if it's real, but I think my fear of speaking, I just made big progress with it. She took me back there. She took my hand. She said, I asked, why can't I speak? She said, I'll show you. She took me back and she showed me a scene where we were in kindergarten, nursery. It's an Americanism.
Yeah.
And she said, we were reading a caterpillar book. You know, the hungry caterpillar. Nom, 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 nom.
Nom, nom, nom.
You know the one?
Yeah, I know the one. The hungry caterpillar, yes.
And basically, me being me, and I kind of feel bad about it, but I jumped up, and maybe my little bit of arrogance won in the limelight. She wasn't reading fast enough or something, and I sort of pulled it, and she pulled it, we pulled it, and ripped in half. Teacher belted at us so loud, stuck us in the naughty step, shamed us in front of the class. For me, water for duck's back. I don't care. I see the joke of it. I see the joke of you. I see the joke of the book. I see the joke of it all, which is why I say I resonate with the troll era. It's like, the world's a cosmic joke. Laugh. Be the fool. Do it. Play it. If you feel. That's just me.
Yeah.
But anyway, I knew that story. That's always been locked in my mind. And it's amazing that she lost the memory of it. And I remembered it. And when she told me, I was like, Jade, I remember that story.
Mm.
I was like, I remember it clear as day. Now, why did it stay in my mind, but not hers? It didn't traumatize me as hard, but it hurt her. And when I told her that I remembered it, and I told her the extra details around it, like the naughty step and what the teacher said, her face just, because she didn't know if she was, again, you're on the psychedelic trip, you don't know if what you're seeing is...
If it's real or...
If it's real,
if it's happened, sorry.
If it's happened.
Yeah.
And getting that confirmation for both, for her and then for me, that like you store these memories so deep, on a muscular level even, man.
Yeah.
I've had it where I've done yoga and I've hit a certain like few hours of stretching on it or Kundalini, and like I untap a memory from that stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's crazy how memories are stored. How powerful memories are. And then she brought that to the forefront, and we were sometimes forgetting memory is a mechanism of self-preservation. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what it must have been. And it got her a huge step. And now she's doing Instagram, now she's coaching, now she's putting her voice out there. All from that.
Yeah.
All just from that one. And that's why like shadow work, trauma work, child work, so powerful. And that's why, you know, when Type 0 touches on memory, forgetting them, how bad that is. And then 10 shows how valuable it is, how 7 says it nurtures the foundation of life itself, how poignant that is. But even in Stranger's Paradise, what were we...
Oh, Jack, yeah, literally just reading that comment. Jack's... It's a mercy to forget. Is that what you...
Mercy to forget,
It's a mercy to forget, yeah.
Yeah, we won't spoil what happened. I don't know, how many of you have played Strangers?
I mean, it's been out a while, and they must have watched us play it, depending on who was awake at the time.
It's such a good playthrough. But yeah, some significant deaths happen in that game. And Jack, the second they happen, he's like, please let me forget. The chaos is like around him. He's like, let me forget. Let me forget. He's like yelling out for it. And it's very basic story. I'm not going to give it like mad points. I will for how it drops some mad lore bombs for the whole series. But just in that little moment, it was powerful. And that sort of craving to just forget something. And what he's wanting to forget is the pain that he has from losing those people and what he's done. And he's just yelling for it. I don't know if you've had that experience. Personally, I had it only recently, and it wasn't for death. Not recently, but going back a while now. But losing someone who was significant in my life, and the raw pain of it after, I was just like, I want to forget this person completely. I want to eradicate them. But when you've spent such a significant amount of time, it's like, what am I actually asking to forget? I'm asking to forget huge chunks of my life. And it's like, you're stuck in this fucked up scenario where so many beautiful memories I've had, I can't erase those. You're erasing a foundation of who you are at that point, but there's still so much pain attached to it.
Oh, yeah.
And juggling that in the early days of grief and loss, mad. And
I think I could relate to that on a certain level. Obviously, after my last relationship, which was a while back now.
a while back.
But yeah, there was good times in that. But yeah, even the good times, when you were going through that grieving period, those good memories hurt because you're like, I'm never going to get those back, so let me forget about them. Like,
let me forget about them. I'd rather that. And that's how you feel in the immediate. And what really kind of laid that out, we watched the Jeffrey Dahmer. I don't know if you saw the Jeff Dahmer Netflix show.
Yeah.
It was slow paced at times, but I felt like it was good that it was slow paced.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people wanted it to be this sort of vapid, kind of entertaining, kind of, I want to see I want to see like a Jason or a Freddy Krueger. I just want to see like a monster serial killer show. And this was actually like, oh, actually no, behind all those serial killers, there's actually a person with like a complex life that isn't all this drama. And they did a really good job with one of the victims' families. Kid went home. It was his brother, and he went home, and his mum was trying to cut him out of
Yeah, he
all the
was.
pictures.
Sorry,
What she
he
was trying to,
yeah.
cut him out all of the pictures and was saying, we don't speak his name anymore. We don't speak his name. And the son, like his reaction to like being so shocked
Yeah.
and like the feeling of like that's so fucked up and so wrong. And like, how much conflict that caused, but it's like that was her grieving process. In that moment, even the idea of forgetting your own child, that felt like an option you'd rather have. And well, what it showed to me, at least in my nowhere near on that sort of level experiences, you just got to go through it.
Yeah.
It was a piece of advice that people were telling me, and you just don't listen to it, or you don't get it. It's like, there's no quick ways out of this, man. You just got to go through it. You've got to go through it, and anything that anyone kind of says, because that's what I really felt when you were having those scenarios, is sometimes it works to give that sort of beautiful side of it. It's like, see this for the beauty that it is. But then also saying it in a way that doesn't encroach on that process that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And it's hard to balance.
It is.
Hard to balance, man.
But you'll come out stronger for it at the end.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
If you.
Oh, absolutely. That's the beautiful thing about it, and that's where even when we talk about if there is some sort of God, for an afterlife, you know, we were going back and forth on the view that if God is a real, do you have the view of Stephen Fry? What you guys think?
That's a very.
But Stephen Fry would be like,
it?
he's a maniac. God is a maniac. You're telling me that there's a being here that could snap all of your suffering and deal with all of these starving kids in a blink of an eye, and he just lets it happen. Not only that he lets it happen, but that he created it. Oh,
Hey, Lauren Hughes.
whoa. well, Lauren, how are you, mate? Cheers to you, bud. I'm drinking ginger soju at this point.
Don't drink all of it, mate.
Yeah, is he a maniac? You know, I kind of even said about Adam and Eve, and you talked about the Assassin's Creed thing, but I was saying, you know, like Adam and Eve, for example. If God is real, you know, the Christian one, not only did he create the tree, so he created the tree that could tempt them.
Yeah.
Then he created in them the curiosity, the temptation, the desire, the base primal nature that would trap them in it. And when he told them not to eat it, he already knew.
Well,
when he made them, he made the tree, he knew that they were going to do it out the gate. What kind of like sick, mental, twisted mind game is that?
Yeah.
And that's one way.
Because in the story, was it the devil that created the snake? Was it the devil's?
The devil told them to eat it, and that they'll see
disguise,
truth.
and he was
they'll see the truth, the true truths. And then you kind of said that Assassin's Creed plays that story. The apple.
They have the apple.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, so they sort of play on that with there's a higher race of beings that not lived on Earth, but they created humanity basically as slaves, and they created these devices called the Pieces of Eden. And they play on that sort of like one day I think they decide humanity decides to steal one of these and escape this sort of. It's ages ago since I played it, but
this sort of cycle of control, right?
Yeah, break the cycle of control of it and that. And
and it's where you've got the assassins and the Templars, and the Templars want this device so that they can be in control.
Yeah,
they can.
Yeah. And the
basically for selfish means, and that the assassins believe in free will. Yeah. And it's weird because that means that the assassins, I don't know if you guys played Assassin's Creed, I actually haven't, but I asked Jens the question, so are the assassins in that game like intrinsically humanitarians?
Yeah, I think they want the best for the human race. That's what it means, isn't it? Yeah. They want the best for the human race, so...
Because what's strange about that is if they're in... And I find that there's interesting times where characters
I can
show up like that.
The clothes blowing around.
Yeah. There's a storm brewing out here. Like, it's strange when there's individuals who are humanitarian at nature, but they need to take a dark path for their humanity. You know, for example, you got Martin Luther King, pacifist in his nature. But then you've got Malcolm X, who would resort to violence. And that both of them kind of played a role around each other. And I don't know where you guys land on the pacifism and do the means justify the ends, like killing for greater purpose.
I think we live in a world, it's unfortunate that I think pacifism can help in certain ways. But even something as small, like it was when I was at work with health and safety and things like that, it would take somebody actually having an accident for a company to do something about it. Like, not even if you went to them beforehand saying, this is a problem, like we need to get this sorted out.
That's it, yeah.
And it would take until somebody had the accident and be like, actually, we're going to do that now because... So yeah, I think I'd like pacifism to have more of an effect on stuff, but I feel like that more progress gets made sometimes when bad stuff happens, like when the chaotic side of things come out.
It is unfortunate that way. And I actually saw a documentary talking about it where they said that actually one does lead to the other. So with Malcolm X, he brought a lot of violence into the equation, and then that caused a stir and uproar and got people's attention in that regard. But then when you see Martin Luther King marching with people, getting set on by dogs, getting beaten, and they're just walking and they're doing nothing, and people are still trying to cover it because of the violence that led up to it, and they're still trying to cover it. And when it doesn't matter, maybe not how racist you are, but there's something in the human nature where you see somebody trying to be peaceful and you see them getting set on, it doesn't matter how indoctrinated you are, something in you tells you that's wrong. Something in you says, and you end up empathizing with that other side. But yeah, what they're saying is that it couldn't have been done without Malcolm X, and that actually you do need this blend of darkness and light. As cheesy as it sounds, you need a bit of Bahamut, you need a bit of Odin. This is what 16 is going to be sort of coming into, I hope. You need the Ifrit, and you need the Phoenix. And
well, that's the whole thing they're winning.
The split between the two, it's life and death.
Well, Strangers as well goes into that whole thing, doesn't it? Like you can't Massively. And you can't have light without shadow.
How does Strangers go into it? What happens with Jack, man?
He becomes darkness. Chaos.
Maybe we're spoiling. All right, okay. Well, we've already said it. Sorry, no spoilers. I mean, you should get it from his name being Jack Garland.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe I just spoiled shit. I don't know. The game's been out a while. When is the spoiler period? Still in action?
I mean,
I see people still to this day saying like Aerith dies. Spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the spoiler period is.
Where does it come?
I've seen a few people on the channel saying, "Is this a Final Fantasy entry? I didn't even know it existed." Like, it was these.
It's true.
Well, anyway,
we're going to talk about it regardless, because what's curious with Strangers of Paradise is Jack wants, and it's the idea of like that nature of God. Is he a maniac who brings suffering in just for the control of it, the tyranny of it? Which would be what the Lufanians are. They literally inject chaos into the Final Fantasy series, not the game, the series, simply to keep humans in check, to disempower them, to keep them in line. They need to get the equation just right, and that they can harvest all the energies and build up to their own tyrannical paradise. And that's very much their motivation for bringing suffering into the world. Then you've got Jack, who wants so much to destroy chaos. I mean, that chaos. Like it's a meme. Chaos. It's a meme to the extreme. Yeah. And he wants to destroy the Lufanians. I mean, he literally was one and wanted to take them down. He literally becomes chaos because and does the exact thing that Lufanians does at the end. He's injecting chaos into the world, but he's doing it for a whole different reason.
Yeah.
He realizes he has to become the very thing he hates, so that, I think the quote was, even in the darkest backdrop of night, even a candle, even if it's a sputtering candle, can glow. Whoa, there's fireworks. Wow.
No, you jumps. Christ.
Spoiler culture is weird. Spoilers barely ruin a story for you. I don't know. I kind of sometimes get uppity if I get spoiled.
I do a bit. I just avoid
fake. You guys hear those fireworks? It's getting windy. But yeah, he literally injects chaos into. He becomes chaos, and he's going to keep bombarding the world with darkness, but for the reason that the warriors of light that were once just a fantasy, a fairy tale created by some maniacs who wanted control, so that it can become real. And that he's going to keep doing it until the real warriors of light become strong enough. That hope that was once a fairy tale actually becomes real. And it was amazing. I loved that recontextualization, because I've said it for the longest time. Not about it's about hope.
Yeah.
It's about hope.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's a point to it. It's naive. It's useless. That idea that having hope is a rebellion.
Jesus Christ.
How many are they setting off? Silence, you fools! We're talking about chaos. Yeah, and he does it for that purpose, which that would be the other polarity of God, right? That, oh yeah, he sees all the suffering that's going on. God, higher beings, whatever, but they allow it to happen because we have to learn the lessons. You can't just give everyone paradise. I don't know if any of you guys saw The Good Place. I love that show.
I literally saw somebody
The Good
ask you
Place.
that, actually.
No way, did they?
Somebody did ask it earlier on.
The
Yeah,
Good Place, fantastic at covering this, because they actually show a scenario of paradise, of heaven, where you can literally go, I want a milkshake, I want a unicorn, I want a jumbo jet, I want to be able to fly, I want to be able to this. And they've been doing it for so long, they're numb to it. They're just like, and the devil goes there, and they like suggest a thing where the good place doesn't work properly because no one's been going there, and then he's like, maybe I could be in control. They're like, yep, good, done, we're done, out, bye. And they just scarper because in paradise, they've been trying to come up with a way to make it feel like paradise, and they can't. Everyone's numb to it. Because you have everything. You have nothing but happiness. How do you even know it's happiness? It's just normality. And it like really present the idea that happiness only exists against the backdrop of suffering. Achievement you only recognize it's a thing because failure exists. That one without the other doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And that it's an integral part of the experience of self-discovery and evolution, not just for ourselves, but as a collective. And that's why, even if there is an all-loving God, he would allow suffering to happen. Which is curious. I like it.
That's why it's so hard to depict realistic gods.
Uh-huh.
Just reading. That's why it's so hard to depict realistic gods. Why?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That's what I wonder, man. If say if we are reincarnating, and say if once you've done on this level, you've learned the ability of how to interject when you should, how to not when you shouldn't, how to know when somebody is suffering and they need to go through their suffering, and when you need to pick them up. Because Sadhguru pointed this out really nice. I have a habit. I think you can probably point out of sometimes. I can be over generous in trying to deal with everyone's issues. If I hear somebody wants to do something, I'll chuck everything I can at it. And Sadhguru kind of said, being a generous, giving person, you can actually be doing more harm than good. And I was like, whoa, what? Really? That's such a great virtue. And he was like, yeah, because the thing is, if you give someone something to help them out of a scenario, and that's not to say there's never a time to not do that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you give something to somebody before they've already gained it themselves, they're not ready for it. The thing is, if they were truly ready for it, they would have already had it themselves. And then somebody asked the question, it's like, oh yeah, but what if you try to help someone because the thing that they're doing is harmful to themselves? Surely you would get involved then. Sadhguru was like, what should I do in that scenario? And Sadhguru said, go back and be their mother. Go back and be their mother.
They say that from obviously homeless people that have had drug problems, don't they? If you go up and give them too much money, the chances are, if
They're gonna
they're going to go and kill themselves on it, because they're just going to go and buy more drugs and do the same thing. Like, that's why you need, if you're going to help somebody like that, you need to slowly feed it in and make sure you're watching. And I know you're controlling them a bit, but that's the sort of thing they need. They need somebody to help guide them.
Well, that's the level of awareness and mindfulness and wisdom on your behalf to be able to judge those scenarios. And I say, if we are living these lives to accumulate that level of wisdom, that's what I like the idea of. Is like, say you eventually do get to that level. What if you do reach enlightenment? You do reach a nirvana. You become some 4D being, and all of a sudden, once you've learned those lessons, you can become. I don't know if ayahuasca, if she is an actual fourth dimensional being who, you know, because she showed up for some people, she didn't show up for others. She got involved for some. She gave some people a lot. She gave some people virtually none.
Well,
a lot of people in the like sharing circle at the end, like, seeing everyone getting all of this stuff, like, why not me? And the shamans would be like, she will only give you what you need when you're ready for it. And so I learned that level of...
Well, we were talking about this earlier as well, weren't we? That you said that she was, when you had the conversations with her, she was giving you just enough.
Push.
And then I questioned as to why there was a guy in the group who went... It was almost like it was too much for him. Like
he went ballistic.
He was imagining when he was on his trips, he was having, like, being able to sort of manipulate the like stuff around him. Like, he was almost playing God, and he went crazy, like, on it. Like, it was they had to take him out of the ceremony show, and it was like, so I was asking you, why did she give him that? It seems like she gave him too much, or was it what he needed to see?
Well, how can we judge that?
Yeah.
Some people be like, that guy needed that experience. Some people do need the experience that they're having, and you just don't have the full perspective of why they're having it. Then there's another side of me where I'm like, you are taking the psychedelic, you are getting a massive DMT smack to your dome, and if you ain't ready for it, maybe you shouldn't have come along for the journey. And what I mean by that is you need to have gone at it with the right intentions.
Yeah.
You need to have gone at it with the right frame of mind. Which in a proper setting, you have doctors, you have people who give you an interview, question these sort of things, and it's depending on how honest you are. I feel like some people lie just to do it. He's probably one of them.
Yeah.
It's when you achieve true enlightenment and turn paradise, that game just changes. There's more challenging issues to deal with. The game of balance keeps going. I believe this, Obis. I do believe that if there is any purpose of the game, it's to be of service. That's the one main thing that I've picked out that has real meaning. And like, say if you do something for someone else, or you do a job that brings value into the world and helps others in some way, that is so much more fulfilling. I've done the jobs where it's purely just for the paycheck, dead inside. You do something even if it doesn't earn you much money, but it's doing something valuable. There's something in humans that being of service lights you up more than anything else.
Yeah.
And that, if once we hit enlightenment, we go on to higher forms of being of service. Service to other people who came before. That's why they say Buddha and Jesus. They could have gone, they call it the side of the moon in Buddhism, which is essentially, or the side of the sun, which is, you've learned all your lessons here. You can go on to higher levels of service and attainment, but that these beings, they actually are like, no, while I can do that, I'm going to stay back because I want to bring other people. This is how like these miraculous figures have appeared throughout history. I like that. I like that. It adds a beauty to it, whether it's real, whether it's not. That's the thing. Like the law of one, which is the philosophy I mainly land on, it's about this world that is constantly cycling and evolving, moving us into higher levels of consciousness. And with that, we serve each other till we hit returning to the one. And then they call it 7D consciousness. You actually just project yourself back and you become your own guide through life. You actually serve your own journey as well as everyone else's. And it ties in all of like these science elements, all of these quantum mechanical elements, and again, regardless of if it's real or not, I'm not pinning on it, but what I felt when I watched it is I immediately wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. I got a focus on what life was, which was experiences with people. Love matters. Love is all that matters. Service to others is all that matters. And that gave me some sort of kind of direction that the nihilism of atheism didn't give me personally. But again, I say you can be atheist and still be charitable, still have that level of kind of beauty to you. And that's how I hope the world works. That's what I hope happens after death. That we keep evolving. I know, because if you could come back again to keep learning, would you? That's the main thing. This is the other question I always ask. It's let's say when you die, say if you could restart, like a game over.
Yeah.
And you could pick the difficulty of your experience. Like treat it like a game. Say if you do it on hard mode, really hard mode, farmer mode, chaos mode, you'll unlock more. The journey will be more difficult. There'll be more wipes, there'll be more KOs, there'll be more flops, and there'll be more fails. But you'll unlock extra sources in the experience. How hard would you go? What difficulty would you pick? Would you be that person who's like, stick me on easy mode? I just want a nice, comfortable, easy life. I don't want to learn like a whole. I just want to go through experience. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
What level would you pick? And then, based on your answer, how has life up to this point actually been for you? And like, does it actually connect? Because for me, I would say I would pick like an 8. 8 out of 10. Right.
That's what you'd pick.
Yeah. I would pick pretty hard. I know I'm the kind of person, I'm like, I will suffer. And this was something Nietzsche said, that when I heard it, it rang to me for that reason. Let me find this quote. I thought it was beautiful, and I sent it on WhatsApp. I don't know. What difficult would you pick, bro?
It's a good question.
But basically, I feel like my life does actually reflect the difficulty I would opt to take on.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is because of the life I have led, which was savage as fuck.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? It might just be like a self-fulfilling thing, but...
See, I know that my life hasn't been... At the moment, I feel like I'm on a bit of an easy mode, I suppose, at the moment, with stuff. Like, there's been... Obviously, people have stuff they have to go through and that, but...
Yeah.
I've never really had anything which has pushed me that hard with it. So I think next, if I could redo it, I'd probably push the difficulty up quite a bit, just to gain a bit more insight in that. And
so you see that there is value.
Yeah,
value
I don't doubt that at all.
Suffering for extra growth.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, this was such a beautiful quote, and it's
Is it?
It's lost unto me. Let me type in Amor.
No, it's raining.
Because this was Amor Fati, which is to love your fate.
Ignorance is bliss, unfortunately. I learned the hard way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on.
On suffering, Nietzsche's love of fate naturally leads him to confront the reality of suffering in a radical way. For to love that which is necessary demands not only that we love the bad along with good, but that we view the two as inextricably linked. Only great pain is the ultimate liberator of the spirit. I doubt that such pain makes us better, but I know that it makes us more profound. Nietzsche does not promote suffering as good in itself, but rather a precondition for good. That a single moment, even just a single moment of good, justifies an eternity of bad. But one extreme cannot have meaning without the other. In The Will to Power, Nietzsche writes, "For nothing is self-sufficient, neither in ourselves nor in things. And if our soul has trembled with happiness, and sounded like a harp string, even just once. All eternity was needed to produce that one note. And in this single moment of affirmation, all eternity was called good, redeemed, justified, and affirmed. That's powerful stuff, man. I don't know why that really sung to me, and if that's...
You drop
I
shit.
dropped my bait. Wait. Waka.
Waka?
Yo, I'm smoking the old FF10 racist himself.
Why is it not?
Oh, it's not focusing. My vape is called Waka. Those damn blasted grease monkeys. Sand blasted grease monkeys. And I thought that was beautiful. That even all of that difficulty, even just in one moment, if you feel yourself just hit some level of beauty, that was worth it. It was worth it.
Yeah.
Oh. Fortunately, as much as I hate to admit this, world teaches us to be cold in this world. If you let it kill the warmest heart, that's the thing about rebellion, man. It's like the world will try to shoehorn you into that nihilism. But that's what the test is, man. If you could hold up against that, or just even have the intention to hold up against that. I think sometimes intention speaks more volumes than actual action. It's good to have action, but intention is beautiful. It's beautiful. I think there's nothing wrong with wanting a better life, but when it crosses over to unquenchable greed, that's a problem. Where do you think unquenchable greed comes from? I mean, there's a lot of different reasons it comes about, right? Some people do it because they think that status and power is what will... I think it all comes back to being recognized. I always say this again and again, but there's something intrinsic in the human spirit that wants to be recognized. You want to be seen. You want your partner to see you for who you are. You want your family. You want your passions and your skills, your natural talents to be seen. You want to express them. There's this like feeling that you want to express into the world. If you don't have that expression, I'm sure you can relate to that.
It's true, yeah. As coming from a person that's doesn't like to be seen that much, like, as you know, it's sort of, I like to be in the background.
Is that how you would actually describe it?
Yeah, you do. It is nice when you get recognised for something you've done.
Yeah.
After you put hard work into something, and it's the worst. I say the worst thing ever. It's not nice, is it, when you've put time and effort into something and you feel is worthwhile for you, but nobody really shows any acknowledgement to it.
Yeah, I think there's like two sides.
Egotistical thing.
I don't think it's egotistical, because I think it piggybacks off of Dragon Wrath. You say it great, mate. I think it piggybacks off that thing where you also want to be of value. You do want to be of value. You want to feel like you've done something worthwhile. And why give into nihilism if you can continue to try to better the world? Nier Automata ending comes to mind. Oh, best game ever made. Best game. Out and out. Better than any Final Fantasy.
Yeah? I know you've said it a few times, actually.
I'm changing my name tonight to Nier Automata Peasant. Man, I hope we get something else in that series. I really do. Well, we got the little game, which when Kazuya came down, he gave me on the mobile. I can't remember what the mobile game's called.
It's Kazuya still in the chat.
No, it's not. Replicant's the one with younger Nier. Well, I'm actually an old boy Nier.
What was it? Nier?
Gestalt.
I can't remember what it's called.
Gestalt. Such a profound game. I strive to help someone every day, whether it's holding the door open, greeting a stranger, briefly on the street, picking up trash. It makes me feel good. It does feel good. And honestly, in that week, you know the week I always described where things just changed. what was the catalyst for that? And it's so strange because I don't even know if I necessarily entirely like the song, but it was around about, you know, Drake's song? Old Drake.
Oh, no, Drake.
You know when he released God, God's Plan?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And in that video, he was giving them away money to people. And I watched that on loop about 50 times. And all of a sudden, this channel that I kind of lost my purpose, my way with, and I think Lauren dropped us another schmecky.
Oh,
I just got some. Wow!
Deep chats today. Yes.
It required it because one of those days.
It was one of those days.
One
Yeah.
of those days. But yeah, all of a sudden, like this channel that I'd lost my purpose with, I suddenly had this feeling. I was like, what is it that I really want to? Am I just playing games? Is it just an all way like? And I'm saying that from a position that I had so many beautiful messages from people being like, yo, dude, watching your stream every day. Because I think I was undermining what I was doing. Just me showing up being an idiot. Playing games like a newbie trash lord.
But it helps people.
But some people were like, dude, you showing up every day, just a few messages being like, that has been so much help for me. And I'd lost sight of reading those kind of messages and letting them actually sink in.
Yeah.
I would skim through my comments and I would pick out the one person who was doing some controversial like attack on me, and I'd focus in on that.
Yeah.
I just scrolled through that much like love and kindness and like wholesomeness, and I was focusing on that. And no wonder I got myself into that position of purposelessness with it. And yeah, it was in that week I suddenly was like, how can I do better? How can I be better? How can I serve? And it was just so in the forefront of my mind. And when I started thinking like that, how I can, like I said, even if it's small things like holding the door open or just being a better person. And the more I started thinking down that line, all of this energy came into my body. It was crazy. I felt like I came alive.
Yeah.
And I'd just gone through the darkest, roughest patch. You guys saw me in that stage. And the next time, you came around and I was like, dude, if you got nothing to say, don't bother. That's how low I was, right?
You wouldn't be gone. You didn't want to see anybody, did you?
I didn't want to see anybody. Yeah. And then the next time you guys saw me, I was like, I've never been happier in my whole life. I have never been happier.
Yeah.
I've got it. Now, of course, I thought I'd got it. And what I'd got was valuable at the point. It was like, oh yeah, living a life of like kindness and compassion and opening yourself up in that kind of way. That was good. Then I allowed it to go to my head and became arrogant. Like, I've got it, which is woke culture. And then that comes around to it kicks your ass, man. All those people who are preaching, all those people who are putting their boot on people's necks, even vegans. I'm vegan, but vegans who just go around chucking their weight. Shit can't catch up to them, man. They're going to learn one way or another that, bro. And that's what I like about life. It finds a way to teach you no matter what.
Yeah.
Even if you run from that lesson until late in life, it will find a way. Even if it just shows up when you're on that deathbed and you just suddenly have that moment of fuck. Maybe some people won't get that. I don't know. That's the thing.
I don't think everybody gets it.
You can kind of be alerted to your death coming up, like if you've got an illness and whatnot, and kind of prepare for it.
Yeah.
And have those moments, sort of do some kind of damage control. Not even damage control, just
I know.
tell people you can.
Yeah.
Or you could just get blinked out.
Yeah. That's
wild.
It is. Tomorrow. It could be the last morning you wake up.
Yeah.
It's...
And would you be happy with the story as it's unfolded so far? There would be sections. I always say, if you had to watch your life back, like if you had to sit and watch it back frame for frame, right? Some of it would be shameful. Oh, I. oh no. Other parts would be cringe. Other parts, a lot of parts of me would be monotonous. I'm like, get your ass off that effing chair, man. Your butt is glued to that gaming chair, dude. Like,
You're open there.
That's why I had to take a break from gaming for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I wish many people had dreams. Have ambitions, dreams, after long-term goals, gives you purpose. It's how you become soldier, right, Wu-Tai? Wu-Tai on that soldier path. Yeah, man. Not everyone has the same opportunity, unfortunately. Yeah. That's the thing. Opportunities are something that are both afforded to you and seized by you.
Yeah.
And
I mean, this is one of them at the moment. Like the opportunity that we can be doing this, like, and come out into Asia, and obviously it came at the right time for us. But yeah, there could have been a part. Well, there's part of me that was like, no, I don't want to do this, and that I probably would have regretted it for sure.
Yeah.
If I've been like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to stay in the UK and just sort of. Not saying there's anything wrong with 9-to-5 jobs, but if that's what you need to do, but it was an opportunity I knew I needed, and I did seize it.
Needed to take.
Yeah.
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 And it'd be at those parts when you revisit them. If you watch it back, you're like, yes, yes. I always say it. No one ever taking a jump for a leap of passion with good intention behind it. How can you ever regret that? Even if it doesn't unfold in the right way, I don't think you can regret it. Going for something, the only thing you will regret is if you don't go for it.
It's true.
Go for that business thing and it folds. It's like, yeah, it might sting, it might hurt, it might set you back, but you went for it, and something on a deeper level, though your emotions may play and dance around it and get fucked up, on a deeper level, you're like, I went for that thing.
Yeah.
And that's generally how I think living life is. I, on the other hand, have... Wait. What was the bit about? On the other hand, have no ambition. There's the thing, well, ambition's a weird one, because I've been through that loop as well. Like, I've been mad ambitious. I've been a little schemer. Everything was about the next hustle for me. Next project, the next plan, the next thing.
Yeah.
I've kind of been through that gate as well.
I mean, that's something we spoke about, haven't we, recently? Like, you've been asking me what I see myself doing in the future and that for stuff, like preparing. Because I don't have those thoughts as much as I should do. And yeah, my ambition's pretty low. Like, I've got stuff I want to do, but
yeah, the thing is this, you know within yourself when it's, I'm happy to live a simple life, and I really see the appeal in the simple life now, really strongly. The point where, I mean, you know me, I'm like, send me off grid, send me to a cave, send me into the wilderness, give me a little farm with a piece of land in the middle of nothing. I don't want for much, I don't need much, I don't need materialism. Very stripped. Stripped back in that regard. It might be an idealistic dream, but that within itself, even a simple life is an ambition in and of itself. If that's how it is in your mind, the point is when is it actually a self-sabotage? And you can feel when it's one or the other, right?
Yeah.
You can feel when it's one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's always what's good about your intuition, man. It's always telling you. It's always telling you. Brianna's still in the house. Oh, Bree's coming out in a few days. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. I can't wait to see her. Brianna, you don't always need to have everything figured out to be content. True is true is true. And yet this is something I kind of need to learn a bit more.
I think
because sometimes, it came up a lot for me on this trip. A lot for me. It's like when suddenly new people or like new motives come into your life, you're like, I want to make this work. I want these things, I want these things, I want these things, I want these things. And you create like a little roadmap on how you think you're going to get there. And then along the way, it plays out in different ways. Some things introduces what seems like a sabotage. Other things are like a little roundabout or become more complex. And
Yeah.
there were little times where I felt myself getting kind of, not in a major way, because I don't really feel extreme emotions in that kind of way, but I felt myself emotionally reacting. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm attaching to the roadmap.
It throws you off, doesn't it? Having those.
It throws you off, and it's also just not realistic to how life is, which is, it unfolds. You can't control everything. You got to accept the process. It goes long. It's weird because you've got to accept it and you've got to be in the here and now, but you also do need to visualize a plan. We live in a commercial world.
Yeah.
We live in a capitalist world. There's bills to pay. There's cheddar to put on the table. I mean, that's the frustrating thing. Is like there's tangible steps in this world, and how you balance those in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think there's an unhealthy side of both, isn't there? If you do try to create too much of a track you want to follow, and like you say, things throw you off.
Your expectations will be.
If you live
mucked
in a world where you just let life flow and that, and you don't really want to make anything of it, like well, not anything of it. Sorry, you don't have the ambition, and you just think, oh, what's the point? It's setting things out because it won't work out how I want it to anyway. That's also unhealthy, I think.
The sort of reconciliation I've come with that is I create my plans, I create my steps, and then I make sure I check in with myself on how much am I emotionally reacting to this thing? How much? And if you can catch that, then you can be like, okay, this is where I need to sort of cycle back, go with the flow, because life is going with the flow, man. And the thing that I've always landed on is all the worry in the world ain't going to help the situation. It just ain't.
No.
It just isn't going to help it. In fact, all it's going to do is make you react from emotion and knee-jerk, and from a position of less power than you had before. So it don't help. But that's tough, man. I feel like video games were distractions to keep us as beings that are really important in life. Meanwhile, family and friends are the important things in life. Well, that's why I really liked video games showing up in Matrix 4.
I haven't seen that yet. But
they literally create Matrix the game, and Neo is back to believing he's human in the Matrix. They put him back in. Can't remember the exact ways that he got back in, but he believes he's a video game developer creating the Matrix, and that these characters, Neo and Trinity, are ones that he's made.
Right.
And that was an extra layer of illusion that the Matrix was trying to throw, and it was using video games as that. But then, like the Matrix always does, it was actually also the thing that allowed him to break out of it again.
Yeah.
Which I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one. I've heard mixed things on it.
Dude, the characters were bad. Some of the storyline was bad. The tenets of the story were good. And I was monged out on a boat from 2 months of being in the wilderness. Dude, it was on the boat ride back. It was a 36-hour boat ride. I didn't even buy myself a sleeping cabin. I was slept in like a chair, like watching movies. I was watching Matrix 4. No one else. Because, dude, so I don't know if you've gone on a cruise ship recently. There's nothing but old white people on those things. It's just a land of old white people.
They love it.
I don't know how they do. I couldn't
ships.
be glad to get off that fucking thing. How anyone considers going on like a cruise for a week, like disembarking once, how they consider that.
Oh yeah, my grandparents used to do cruises all the time.
Man, maybe it's a skill you learn later in life. Just be like, I'm happy just to be sat in a confined space, but not me, man. I was just sat watching Matrix 4, which after coming like out of the wilderness with like no stimulation, no movies, no TVs, no games. Wild experience. Cruise ships are slow. Slow and painful and expensive. Can it be dealing, Captain?
Yeah. Yeah, going back to the video game thing, it's sort of it's gone through my head a few times. Like, and I know people find comfort, which I've found comfort in video games a lot. stuff, like going through parts in your life, and you just think, I just want to sit down and play a game now. But I always, there's a lot of times I come back to it when, like, especially when you overindulge on games, you're like, why am I not leveling myself up?
Yeah.
Why am I leveling this character up in this virtual world when people don't really give a shit? Like, especially on like an MMO where everybody is just like trying to do what they want to do. Like, why can't you should be out there doing your own thing?
Elias likes cruises.
The only cruise I've ever been on was.
You like adventure pairs? I love it. I need it. Well, I don't need it. This is kind of where I've realised, and it kind of piggybacks off that point, is anything done in excess. It doesn't matter if it's the most valuable thing or seemingly menial thing. If it's just playing a video game to distract and enjoy and resonate and connect, beautiful. I get so triggered at people who look down on the value of gaming and the stories and what they can bring.
Oh yeah, of course they can bring.
Triggers me like crazy. But, and it's the same as like marijuana, it's the same as nice food. It's even going on travels and adventures. So valuable, but you do it in excess. Anything in excess is... Moderation is everything. It's what the Stoics talk about. They talk massively about understanding your moderation checks, and that overindulgence is a fast fall down into a trap.
Yeah.
And for me, that's been one of the hardest lessons in life, because I am a person of... I like my experiences to be... wild and
pushing the limit.
Yeah, and that it'll be for me, if I'm not in a happy environment that I like, if I'm not in a happy job I'm fulfilled by, I will cut loose. But that's honestly, I've gone back and forth on whether that's a bad thing, because it's like, is that part of an excess nature? But it's like, not accepting things are, because Alan Watts really struck me when he talked about how you can even be a dishwasher with stacks of dishes every day to clear.
So I just imagine somebody being an actual dishwasher.
An actual dishwasher.
Just sitting.
Just open the flap and stick it in.
Yeah, no, I know that quite. Yeah, just taking the time in it. And is that what you're going to go with that one?
Yeah,
so
no.
When you're washing dishes, actually just taking the time to see what you're doing and
see what you're doing, connect with it. And he said, even turn it into a dance.
Yeah.
Look at it. Oh, I can do it with this pattern. I could do it with this sort of level of sort of joy. Oh, look, I'm going to do a different thing with that.
Yeah.
And you'll see Alan Watts, he's embodied that. He'll just get like a Diablo, or like, he'll just be fascinated with like how an arrow pulls on a bow. And it's like that fascination you have as a child. That is just like eternal joy. It's crazy to me when parents go out and buy their kids thousands of pounds of expensive presents, and their kids over there playing with a cardboard box. They're over there getting hours of humour off of the packaging.
Yeah.
As a kid, I was allowed to just be a little tyrant and do whatever I wanted. Irresponsible parent. I would go into a field and I would find endless joy. I wouldn't come home until late at night, until my parents were yelling at me every day. It's like, damn, like, you don't have to be like, oh, it's the situation we're in, it sucks.
Yeah.
It can be the mentality that you're taking with it. But then at the same time, it's like, well, no, you also... There is sometimes when your environment and your thing isn't your calling.
Yeah.
And go for it. Go for something more. And I'm only just kind of learning now. Kind of learning that balance between... being content with where I am and making something of it, while also kind of supplementing it with more fulfilling experiences.
Yeah.
More out the box ones that kind of grow you and break out your comfort zone. I think getting the middle path is what the Buddha spoke about. The middle path. Oh yes.
Oh yes.
Bree's comment just makes me so happy. She loves washing the dishes, which means I'll never have to do it.
Never does it. Never does it.
Fuck, Ginge! That exposed me. I was being facetious.
Oh shit. Sorry. He's always washing the dishes. He always doesn't get me for not doing it.
Now, this is the other thing. Is sometimes you've got to do things that you don't find enjoyable, man.
Yeah.
And also sometimes, you see, it's the other thing between like relationships with other people and yourself. So it's places where you need to make concessions. You need to find a middle ground with it. You have to sometimes make sacrifice. I've always kind of been back and forth from that. I used to have the attitude of like, no, you should not sacrifice in life. I mean, don't hold back on your wants and your needs and desires. That's not true either. Everything in the middle path, man. Full show. But also, thanks for washing the dishes, Brie.
Just buy takeouts all the time, and then you can just throw the package.
Right, paper plates. Well, that's the other thing. It's like, how do you determine what the correct way of living is? Because I've wondered this. I've known people with OCD, and their position on life is having it immaculate. I've been in situations where my turn to do the dishes, I'm gonna do them at 11:30 right before bed, right? I'm leaving them until 11:30, last minute. I'm gonna do them,
Yeah,
because it's my turn to do them. I'm gonna do that, but I'm gonna do them in my time. Yeah. And then people be like, no, they need to be done immediately after dinner. They need to be done immediately. Now, who are you to determine that? Why? And then, now, if you go to Asmongold's sort of level, that mofo's happy to live in squalor, man. He's happy to eat. He's a multi-millionaire, this man, and he's happy to eat $2 steaks. He got 14 pans. He only uses one of them.
Yeah.
It's dirty every day.
Yeah.
And it's got a broken wobbly handle.
Yeah.
And he'll just recycle that thing.
Well, the one that always
He'll
got me
wear
with
the same t-shirt.
Yeah.
He will live that way.
The one that always got me with him is that if a light bulb goes down in a room, he'll just not use that room. Imagine that. Like, oh, the light's gone out in that room, the kitchen now. I'm not going to be able to go and cook food.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's gone. That room's gone. I'm going to head down to Chipotle and I'm going to steal their forks rather than use the fork my mum bought for $200, a $200 fork.
$200 forks.
And his logic is, he's just like, don't tempteth me. Do you mean once I gain that taste? He's like, I do like the taste of the expensive steaks, but I don't want to get into the habit of having that expensive taste.
Yeah.
He's an extreme example, for sure, but the question is, who's to say he's wrong? Who determines that? What's the standard? What's the metric? You get people be like, that's an unacceptable way to live. Says who?
Mm. Did you ever watch his Did you ever watch his Dr. K? Do you know Dr. K?
Oh, I love Dr.
Did you ever watch his interview with Asmongold?
I think I did. Can't remember.
Because Asmongold had a big. Come back to the death thing quickly, actually, because you reminded me of that. His view on he was really scared
the
of
thing
death.
we were talking about in the street.
Yeah, we were talking about death. Yeah, and he was scared of death, and I think the way he started thinking about it is like, why? What was it he said?
Yeah.
He was scared of the nothingness afterwards, and he said, but then he thought about like, what do you know before that? Like, before you were born, there was nothingness as well.
It's that always look on the bright side.
Yeah.
You came for it's such a joke and a meme, Monty Python, but it's also a poem to ultimate truth. And it's like, you came from nothing. What you got to lose? You came from nothing. You're going to nothing. What you got to lose? Nothing.
True. It's
True, right? He doesn't bathe for 6 weeks. God damn. Oh, asthma.
That's what I feel like at the moment.
You stinky son.
After walking, just literally walking down there and
walking
bitten by mosquitoes.
20 minutes, half an hour.
Yeah.
I woke up death myself. Why, brother? Why? Is it from a place of unhappiness? Because that's another thing we kind of brought up. It's kind of if you're going to death with the sort of mentality that is to escape things, or having the mentality that on your deathbed you're like, oh, I wish I did this, I had these regrets, or I biffed it, or I boffed that, and it's like, that's why you're alive, that you've got the opportunity. That's when you got the opportunity. That's when you've got the opportunity. And I know what it's like to feel when you're checkmate. I know what it's like, but it's always a lie.
Yeah.
It's always a goddamn lie.
Yeah.
And that it's always, I'm not afraid of it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad. But of course, you know, you can understand that is how some people treat it. That brings me great comfort all the time. Yeah, there are some people who, they're so cast off from their personal power. And that sounds some cheesy Tony Robbins shit. And I know when I'm in a position where I don't feel that power, and someone even mentions it, oh, you got the power to change your mind on this, and you got the power to change your life. You're like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, there's been times I've hated hearing that.
You hate it. You hate it. And that's the thing. Like sometimes there's a time to lay on that sort of narrative to someone and introduce that. And there's other times with a person you don't need to give advice. Just listen and nod and understand.
I think that's quite a dangerous one to especially people that are feeling that way, like if they're feeling suicidal about stuff and things like that. Telling them, because I think I've heard people not give me the advice for that because I've never been in that position, but when they say to you, you've got the power to change it, only you can change it, I think sometimes that gives people the impression that nobody is there to help them. Because it's like, well, what can I, only you can do that, so how can, nobody else can help you with it? And like, that's the last people want to hear if they're really close to the edge in that respect. Like,
well, that's the hard rationalization you've got to make about the world we live in is, if you have a feeling that people aren't helping each other, I have spun out over this more times than I can count. That the world is selfish and no one is here to help. Everyone's only got their self-interests at heart. People they might listen, but they'll listen for a little bit until they get tired. It's like, dude, stop like harshing the buzz, man. And it's like there's a cut-off point where you got to go alone. And there is an isolation to it. And it's tough, but also at the same time, some people overdo that and realize, actually, there are people who, if you say it to them, that they're waiting on the sidelines to help.
yeah.
Sometimes you're not giving people enough opportunity to jump in and help you, man. I'm so glad Brie loves rainy clouds and dark skies. England is the place.
Scotland is a place.
Scotland. Yeah, man. Scotland. I may go live in Scotland. Maybe. Open-ended.
I know you liked it up there.
Yeah. Are you guys all living in your home nations where you began? And are you kind of having an urge to go live somewhere else? Or have you done the big move? Have you hopped on the banana boat and sailed to another nation? Started again somewhere else? I've done it so many times, man. I moved around houses my whole life. I lived in a criminal house. I lived in a drug house. I lived in an Islamic nation for years. I lived in a super Christian household. I've lived in some wild polarities of.
Yeah, I've already just been in my apartment
Take
now.
me to Scotland. Let's go. We can make room. You might have to bunk in with Ginge.
It's all right, top and tail.
Top and tail. 96, not 69. I want to live in Atlantis. Mate,
Live in Atlantis?
You don't have the gills for it, man. You damn right I'm ready to see the world. Take it, Tales of Caliber. I don't know, is there anything holding you back, mate? If you want to do it. Because this is the thing, man. Sometimes you get the urge for it when you're not in a position to do it. And that's a sucky feeling. And a lot of people, they'll be like, I can't do it, therefore I'm out. Or they'll be like, okay, I can't do that thing. And they'll resign themselves to it. They'll stick that dream out of their head. Never do that. Never do that. A lot of the things that I've had to build up to, sometimes you've got to wait for a bus, miss it. Wait for another bus, miss that. Put the steps in place. Orchestrate with the people that you need to. I mean, you got to not get sort of pulled into consumer culture, which we very much live in, which is we want something, we get it. I want that thing.
Yeah.
I click on Amazon, it shows up. That food shows up. I want that promotion. I want it now. It's hard for us to be patient and to play the game. Build up to it.
Stop inviting people to live with us. That's a dangerous game.
Why not?
You've invited a few people now.
You're going to have a bunch of lost boys, Peter Pan style, doges, chinchillas, lost souls, babies. We're just.
And Brie can do the dishes.
And Brie can do the dishes. We'll just lump them all in. Happy days. Happy days. I like living in a place where I can see the seasons change. Where I live, we don't really see the sun for nearly half the year. Where is that place, Ariana? Yeah, I do like that as well. That's why I do love England. We do get the full range, from snow into rain. We do get hot summers.
Autumn in the UK is lovely. That's one of probably my favourite times.
It's easy to bemoan UK when you're in it because there's certain elements of it that are quite closed off. But I do love it. I do love it. I couldn't deal with a stagnant, one-dimensional climate. I need some forest, man. That's all I need in life. Give me some forest.
I like the sun, but it's been very humid out here, hasn't it, since we've been out?
You're Peter Pan and Bree's your Wendy.
I was thinking.
She's half my Wendy, probably also half my Captain Hook. I've seen her. I've seen her put her hair like a little villain moustache and twirl it. She does it. I bet she doesn't even notice she does it.
We are not adapting adults.
Damn it. The position has been filled. You're out, Ginge. What about this guy? Where have we landed on this guy?
What, am I adopted?
Yeah. We have been describing you as our adopted one.
Have you?
Yeah. Honestly, rentaginger.com.
Rentaginger.
The website's going live soon. We'll put a link out. Basically, if you want a job done, but you don't want it done like perfect, it won't be perfect.
I don't know whether not the perfect bit. I think I do a pretty good job at stuff.
Yeah, that's it. A pretty good job. Not perfect.
Yeah, well, I don't have the skills to.
That's the point.
Yeah, I see what you're saying,
How do you not get the business model yet, man? He'll come along. He'll do a pretty good job.
I think the thing I have is patience.
It's just modest.
I think that's one of my strengths is patience with stuff.
He does.
I will sit there for
Tremendous
hours.
amount of patience. Although you have been getting a bit shirty with the tech on the streams.
Sorry, did I say the cop out there? I'm joking.
Tutting at the camera, the audio.
Yeah.
I've seen you rent a ginge. There we go. I work in pain management clinic. If anything, I can help manage pain. It's a massive one. Deal with it.
Pain.
We need to get your dating profile up and running, dude.
Yeah.
How you feeling on that front?
I haven't really thought about it.
You ready for Bree to come out and love coach you?
I think so.
Oh.
I don't know what to expect.
What to expect?
No, it's fine. Don't know.
Okay. Right, at the end of the day, you just need to use the channel as a vehicle for finding true love. That's the main thing. You need just a good, nerdy 3 out of 10 girl. The soju's making me mean.
Yeah, you can't put numbers on people.
No.
No.
Maybe a 4 out of 10. Ginge has high standards. What can I say? He has really high standards.
I do. Is it? I don't know if it's high standards or I just haven't got my head in the game yet. Or is it just my excuse?
We've been through it, man. It's I don't know how you guys are, but say something. Can you admit for yourselves that if you have an experience that goes bad, that it dictates kind of an avoidance pattern with things? It's easy to happen. We all do it. We all do it. I do it. We all do it. But that's what I personally feel is just like the avoidance of death is something like scary, something uncomfortable, something you don't want to consider. So you kind of you hide from it. And yeah, you had an unfair experience, man. And what annoys me about Gingy Boy is he'll play the oh yeah, I just don't know if it's worth it. I mean, I don't know if it's worth it. My friend, the relationship you had was not worth it. It wasn't worth it. But our relationship's worth it? Yes. 100% yes.
Have I ever said it wasn't worth it though? Or is it just because I don't feel like I have the time?
I don't feel like I don't feel like I need the time. Another one is I feel like I'm only just beginning to sort of find my sense of self, like work on myself. I don't know if I want to muddle that with a relationship. Kind of thing. And that's an easy perception to have, but the point is a relationship isn't supposed to be something that subtracts from you being who you are and focusing on yourself. It's something that's supposed to grow that. Man.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be something that fuels that. If you're in a relationship that ain't doing that, that's the first sign it's wrong. First sign that you either need to have a serious chat, a serious time out, or you need to get the fuck out of there. If you're feeling that, oh, you'll be a great bud. No, stop.
Stop. I'm just going to do what Kazuya said and find somebody in FF14.
Yeah, man. I don't know, honestly. If you had just had to date someone from 14 based on the job and class they're playing, as much as I would say like you'd be safe going for a bunny girl healer, good chance it's a dude.
Yeah.
But a male Ura Dark Knight tank, that'd be a hot chick. It'll work backwards like that, man. I'm telling you. Dudes want to play hot chicks because when they're looking at an arse in an MMO, for countless hours, they want to be looking at an arse that they're like, chicks, they want to be, well, obviously, and that's playing into gender roles, gender norms.
I never played a female
character. I genuinely feel that, I mean, I don't know, you can answer this to me, guys. If you've got a chance to do a character create, what is your gender? What is your sexual orientation? And what are you picking? For me, male, straight, give me a bunny girl! Give me an Elezen Master Race chick.
So is that what you were creating, or?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting, yeah, for sure.
See,
do you pick dudes?
Yeah.
Oh, this says a lot. Oh, gee.
I've never played a female character in the.
We're going to bring Gingy out the closet here and now.
No, because I just like playing as a character.
Don't find someone in the game. That's how you get catfished.
I just play as a character I'd assume was what I would look like in that game, not because of.
Really?
Do
you pick? Are you the kind of mofo who, if you got a chance to name the character in the game, you named it after your own name?
Well, I called my character in FF14 Elgin.
Yeah, that was a bit different.
I wouldn't call it my own name, no.
I think I literally did call Cloud in my first 7 playthrough at 11. I called him Jake. I changed Aerith's name to Flower. I was like, Flower Girl. I call her Flower. Flower. People are like, oh, Aerith's deaf. I'm like, who? Oh, Flower's deaf. I don't know who else I changed. I think I did.
See, I'm more sick with MMOs. I'm more just the fact that if I think a race suits armor, that I want.
Ryan Gear be looking at man ass in 14. Huh?
I was gonna say, for me, races and MMOs and what gender you pick is just depending on what armor looks cooler on what race.
Is it? Is that your determination?
When I picked a Dragoon, because I wanted to play a Dragoon, I was going through all the different classes to see what ones are best in Dragoon armor. And I was like, Higher Male is like
just standard.
It's just a standard easy one to go for, so that's why I went for it.
Higher Male.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. Okay, so it seems like it's just me who's picking based on perversion.
Yeah, my character doesn't run with nothing on. Like, I like to wear a full suit of armor.
Okay. See, I thought this was a given. But
No.
if you can say, like, be my last, your first love, that's perfect, in my opinion. I mean, you never know how things will turn out over the years. But such a sweet idea. Mega Magical Megam, I resonate real hard with that. Now, because I had that thing with, like, marriage and the notion of being like, I'm going to be with you forever. What a fallacy. People are changing. People are always changing. You don't know how you're going to change, how they're going to change. You don't know what life's going to throw at you. What a nonsense thing. That was my position. And then I met Brie. Oh, yeah, there's a little bit of sideways. It's like, oh no, actually, okay, I understand it a bit more. It's like, you just have such a moment of connection in that moment where you're like, that's your intention in that spot. It's like, this is how things feel. This is how I'm content to roll this course all the way down the line. So yeah, I vibe that now, but that's a recent transition. I get a lot of tails. I have her all. See, what drives someone to play a Lalafell? What kind of sick, twisted mechanism of the mind causes that kind of behavior?
Lalafell make me laugh though.
For real, you don't know the years will change. But that doesn't mean that the years where things magical are worthless. True enough. True enough. I like this. I've drunk a tremendous amount of soju.
Yeah, send me a bit.
Our bedtimes have been 9 o'clock.
It's laying tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we've got to get ready for God of War the next day. Just a couple more sleeps till God of War.
Oh, that just gave me a big old upsurge of excitement. And that shows me I'm so ready for God of War. And I don't know why, because the story's shit. I don't mean that. What I genuinely mean with that, though, because I did consider it, I was thinking about why I'm so excited for God of War. And what really is it? Because the story is good and the characters are good, but it's not what I resonate with. The reason why I resonate with Final Fantasy, it's not this, like, it is and it isn't. It's not the same. I don't know how to explain it, but God of War, it doesn't play as deep and tangenty. It doesn't kind of go through such a broad array of human emotions. And I'm saying that it goes into some, but it's not the same.
Lauren.
And I don't know if it's more just like a vibe. Do you know what I mean? It's like a feeling. It's sort of the energy you get from it. It sort of speaks on a different level to what I.
Yeah, I just like popping the. What was it called in the first game? You just put the rage, and it's just like you just get to pummel stuff.
Honestly, so it's like a little bit of that energy, a little bit of just.
Yeah.
Like I was even thinking about in terms of the mythology. Actually, I think the new God of War kind of did do a good job at kind of going into the tales, like the dragons and the dwarves, but it's not so story focused. It is kind of more of an experience than a story focus.
Yeah,
it's a bit more on that sort of side.
Yeah,
the story isn't as weaved as what I would personally want from a Final Fantasy, for example, that I'm hoping from Final Fantasy 16. And it still plays such a solid, exciting...
I suppose it was...
an engaging experience. God of War is more of a character study. Well, that's the thing, because Kratos, on a level, he is kind of one-dimensional.
Yeah, it's hard for them to write a character for him that was on the previous games, is literally just going around killing his entire...
Yeah, and in this, we could say Kratos is going on like a big arc, especially with having to look after Atreus and being a father, of which he's kind of doing a bit of a terrible job. It is character development, but it's not major character development. Kratos is kind of just Kratos, and he's in that freaking vein, and he's like, oh, I've got a boy now, let's go smack some shit up.
Yeah.
Boy. Stop being a pussy boy. Man, that whole thing in it, the bit that really stuck out to me in God of War, the first one, is, you know, when Kratos goes into the crystal. Is it a crystal? That's in far. A portal. I've got too many crystals on my mind. And he comes out, and he only felt like he was in there for 20 minutes, but Atreus has been guarding that mofo for a week.
Yeah.
And there's dead elves everywhere.
Yeah.
That was wild. I
think my favourite bit was definitely when you got the he pulled the dual blades back out again, and you just get to freaking ravage everything outside the hut. Do you remember that bit? You've been using the axe most of the game.
Yeah, they brought it out at the end.
And he goes back and he pulls them out and wraps around the chains around his arm, and he's like, shit's about to go down.
Ryan's hoping Atreus dies. Man, surely Atreus is going to become the next God of War.
Well, they depicted it in the end of the last game, didn't they? That Atreus is going to kill, the prophecy that Atreus would kill Kratos.
Was that actually a prophecy?
Yes. I'm pretty sure it was a prophecy that was on the walls.
What, when they revealed Loki?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Kratos saw it, but didn't let Atreus see it.
Yeah. Oh, maybe I was sleeping on that bit. But I was kind of...
I mean, it was a long time ago we played it.
Oh, Lauren Hughes.
Blaze of Chaos, that was it.
What's got your heart? Yeah, I hope you're able to handle that. I'm a little bit lovesick at the moment.
Yeah.
With Brie. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be disgusting to see.
Okay. It doesn't bother me, to be honest. But...
It's a real new experience for me, this new relationship.
Yeah.
It's changing my POV on a lot of things. I like it.
Good, man.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting. That's the main thing. Like that whole thing about, you create a certain plan, and then you need to be malleable to let other things come in and change things and let yourself go with it. This was one of those things. This trip was a little bit of that, and coming back to the channel was a little bit of that. Going and exploring new relationships again was definitely not one I was expecting.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great.
No, I'm pleased for you. I really am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really am. Right.
I don't want to say that thing was, I want that for you, because it's like, I want whatever, man. Honestly, I want whatever. We talk about it a lot. We were sat on the balcony the other day, and I was really trying to kind of grill you on it a bit. I do that. But it's because I really, really want you to find your groove, man. Whatever that is. And it's always hard because it's always such a subjective thing. So it's like, how do you encourage that in someone? It's like you want to just want everyone to be fulfilled, really.
Yeah.
And I always know that finding my way through this, I would have appreciated the help. I would have appreciated it. So it's always something I want to bring out as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, who knows where this journey gonna lead, man. 6 months of Asia travel. Wow.
I want to move to Australia.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got that in my mind.
Ginger keeps... Are there any Australian women in the chat?
Probably not. They're all
Ginger
dead.
has a thing.
I don't know why.
Australians. Because yeah, after we go to Japan, now that's the end point of this travel.
It's a soft end point.
It's a soft.
I see it as a soft end point. It's a soft cap.
Well, it's not actually that soft, because then I've got to go to Manipur
because
there's a wedding, and then there's also a con. There's a con that I've been promised.
What con is it?
To see. What con is it? Bree's gonna slap me silly for not remembering.
Is it a big con?
Yeah. Or like it's I want to go to cons, I love them, and the few gaming events we've been to have always been fun as hell. The league ones, the gaming conventions.
Yeah.
I don't know how many cons you guys have been to over the years.
I want to go to another con. I haven't been for a while.
But yeah, as much as I love that, I've been teased with twerking. I'm going for twerking. Any point that you'll be in Singapore.
We spoke about it.
Quite possible.
Yeah.
Basically, we're here. We got like another 6 weeks on our visa, well, our entry in Malaysia. We're thinking about having a Vietnam Christmas, but we're going to be just over. In fact, Bree's flying into Singapore. We're driving in, and maybe we'll backtrack and spend a few days in Singapore because the Hanging Cloud Gardens are
I want to see
of
it.
the world.
Yeah.
Wonder of the world, man. They are some of the most incredible things I've seen. Yeah. Oh, and there's also the 14 event in the UK.
Yeah, definitely want to go to that.
Got to get back for that. 2023.
Just want to see people.
But we've got to be caught up on the new
Pinge.
expansion. Pinge.
Yeah,
mate, the second they start calling us Pin, I'm done.
Come visit Western Australia and I hope you meet some girls. Do it.
Yeah. Maybe I'll pop over there. You get your ass down to Australia. Bunch of rapscallions.
No, I like the Australians. I think they're.
I like rascals. I like rascal energy. I don't know if you had to describe the kind of energy that you guys are in one word. I'd say rascal energy.
Yeah, you've definitely got rascal energy.
Yeah. I like rascal.
Rascals.
And Bree's a queen of rascals. She's a big rascal. She'll lie and say she's not, but
that's not energy I'd give myself. Like, what would you say I am in terms of energy?
I would say wet noodle.
Wet noodle.
That's 2 words. No, I would say somewhere along the lines of reliable, dependable, empathetic.
Did you say unreliable? Sorry.
No, reliable. Understanding. I would even want to try to give you insightful, because you can be, and that's why my passion for it. I'm like, you can be insightful. Do it more. Be it more. I feel like the traits that you have would shine so much harder if you got over the fact that your teacher told you to put your goddamn hand down and shut up. Solid
energy.
Solid energy. Unlike the shits you've been having out here.
Oh, they've been fine.
No, they ain't been solid.
Recently they have.
Don't lie to
because
me,
we haven't
mate.
eaten for a while properly.
Yeah, we have just starved. Oh, we've got 92 likes on this stream.
wicked.
That's amazing, guys.
How many people have got in
Can
the
we
chat?
punt it to 100? Are there 8 people who haven't hit the like? I swear to you, if you hit that like button, you'll see this new little thing that YouTube have done. They've made it where it goes blong,
Does it?
and it does like a sparkle. Do you want to see it? Do you want to see what they do? Like, go on, guys, press it. You'll see.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
That's cool.
how satisfying was that?
Let's do it. We'll log in.
Yeah. Go on, guys. Find out for yourself. Hit the like button and see what that does and how it makes you feel. Pairs reliable and empathetic. Ginge unreliable and pathetic.
Who said that?
Mega Magic Megan, but she's trying to. Ginger appreciated. Look, man, at the end of the day,
Oh shit, it's us.
if I've seen a few comments on people being like, "Oh, does your friend know that much about Final Fantasy? He doesn't speak as much as you." Or,
Who said that?
You've done. You came to me with the.
Oh, right, yeah. I was laughing about it.
As you go down such crazy tirades when it's just you, and your friend's not on that sort of wavelength, and that's why I like it. Ginger's a different energy. and we're bouncing and we're vibing and we're enjoying it, and it's just an experience.
balance.
And I don't give a fuck if YouTube is about 5-minute vids every 4 times a week or 10-minute vids. I just want to show up in the way that feels right at the time.
Yeah.
And it's always okay when people scat whatever it is that they perceive. But that's the problem. A lot of people perceive what your channel should be about and what they like about it, and then they're like, "You need to do that." And it's like, man, yeah, we've gone over 100. We've gone over 100 likes, 100k subs, and 100k likes. We've made it. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole crew's here.
Got another tip from Lauren as well.
Oh my, Lauren! Look at Lauren Hughes.
Fellas, please get yourself something to eat. Are we looking emaciated?
Look at dude, I'm getting fat, and I feel like Bree's only going to make me fatter when she comes out. She's Sophia.
Bree, I've heard you're good at looking for restaurants, so
She said that she would accept me even with a dad bod. No,
Yeah.
I can't allow that. I can't allow it. Fellas, please get yourself something to eat. Lauren, oh my God, I mean, $15, that gets you a fouled meal out here.
just go grab those
What a jet.
instant noodles. we
Lauren,
got.
thank you so much, mate. Thank you so much. Yeah, we will do that. We will feast in your honor.
Definitely.
Tonight we dine in hell.
It's 2
But
minutes
that's
to
the thing,
midnight.
like $15, that will get you a starter, a main, a dessert, and drinks out here.
Mm.
And that, you noticed it earlier. We were walking down the street, and he's like, "You're looking at something that's like £5 for all of that instead of £7.50," and you're like, "Oh, this is a bit expensive." Now in the UK, if you want that kind of meal, you're dropping how much?
It's probably about 30, 40 quid, isn't it?
30, 40 quid
Yeah.
each. Two of us would come with an 80 quid bill. Out here we get £15, but your perception adjusts when you're out here.
Mm.
So suddenly, it being cheap, you end up adjusting to it, and you're like, "Oh, that thing's expensive compared to everything
Yeah.
else." And it's so trippy because it's so much cheaper. And basically, the point I was making is you're feeling it now on this end. Like when you first come in, you're like, "Wow, everything's so cheap. Wow, I can eat out all the time," and it's like nothing versus the UK. Then it normalizes. Then when you go back to the UK, oh, it fucks you up.
Yeah.
Oh, it
I'm
fucks you
not
up.
looking forward to that.
When I went to Asia, like pre-COVID, that's the thing. I was in Asia just as COVID was hitting, and now I'm back just as it's opening up again. It plagued me for about a year. Every meal I would look at, I'd be like, if I was in Asia right now, I would have 5x the food. There's a little fat boy in me who very much looks at quantity over quality. I don't know about you guys, but where are you on the food spectrum? Do you value quantity more than quality, or vice
I like a bit
versa?
of a balance, really. Like after the other day,
See,
the
I've got
those
to that
noodles we got,
stage. Yeah.
those noodles we bought that came in the. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
There was loads of those, and they were horrible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a grim example.
That was disgusting.
That was grim. We had a really grim
But the food we had this
nacho cheese roll.
nacho cheese roll. Might
Nacho
get myself
cheese
another
roll.
one tomorrow.
He's going to go buy 5.
That's just tasty.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's going to be hell when you go back to Western prices.
Mm.
It's going to eat you alive.
I'm getting
man.
eaten now. You're feeling itchy.
I want both, though. Yeah, but the question is if you could have that little plate of like fancy, delicious nom-noms, or you could have just that pretty good nom-noms, but there's a lot of it.
I think it's.
I have a fatty in me who's like, give me the noms.
I think you can get both because when we were in Kuala Lumpur, that place.
But that's such a cop-out answer, both. Like, yes, everyone will say both. But
Yeah.
when it comes down to it...
Yeah, but so you're not saying that when we were in Kuala Lumpur, that little restaurant we went to outside, well, the street food and that,
Yeah.
you got a lot for that, and it was good food. Like it was quality food, and there was a
Yeah.
lot with it. Like
We-
often bought
we've
too
had-
much, and we were like, oh, we've overdone it again. So we bought too much. Let's get 6 dishes, and we can. It's like a meal for like 12 people. We sat there just in like, ugh.
I remember when I was cycling through Portugal, 9 hours cycling a day, I'd stop in a restaurant and I'd be like, I would order food. And the staff every time would come back and they'd be like, that's a family size meal. That's a family size meal. Are you sure you want that? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Now, to be fair, I'm burning like 10,000 calories a day, so
yeah, you need it.
It was granted, but just the questioning of it, I felt insulted.
You sure you want that one?
How dare you?
Sure?
Bring me the family size pizzaroni. How dare you? Oh, Brie loves Vietnamese food. That's why a Vietnamese Christmas. We could go to Japan sooner, but you know what they do for Christmas?
KFC. They eat KFC, don't they?
They eat KFC for Christmas. I think they had a misconception of what we do for Christmas.
Yeah.
But they picked it up because they thought that we eat KFC for Christmas.
I kind of want to do it though.
Then they adopted it, and now KFC is their Japan's Christmas.
I do want to spend the Christmas in Japan though, just for that. Like,
dudes, we were going to go to South Korea for Christmas. It gets the -3 out there, and now Vietnam Christmas.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it. Fried chicken for Christmas. Metabolism is crazy good though, so I struggle with weight gain. See, my metabolism is great. I'm just a pig.
that is.
Like, you know Carl.
Yeah.
My friend Carl, who I went with in Portugal. We've had some gluttonous experiences. I'm thinking buying, I kid you not, I calculated it once, 30,000 calories each. 2 big sacks each of food. This is going back to young days, okay? So don't judge me too hard. But I would empty my shed out. A shed where we have less space than how we're sat now. Our legs would be like overlapping, crouched in the shed. Yeah. We would take about 200 pounds worth of marijuana, 30,000 calories of food. We'd lock ourselves in there, consume a lot. If the 30,000 calories of food weren't enough, the 3 litres of calorie-free Coca-Cola. Calorie-free. We would mosh the whole lot in. And it was like reverse stars in their eyes. You know when stars in their eyes, they go through the misty clouds and they come out glamorous and a celebrity. It was reverse that. We'd come out like a few hours out, like fat and just gross, mashed.
You couldn't do it with marijuana though, could you? That amount of food.
No.
It does give you superpowers.
It really, really does. Gluttony is the most delicious sin. See,
thank you,
Drago. Thank you so much, mate. Drago Wrath.
Yes.
Drago. This is
Drago.
What
is
made
it Ivan
you create
Drago?
this name, dude? Were you trying to intimidate? I feel very intimidated, but you're a lovely soul, clearly, because you just dropped Shrekkies. So why such an intimidating name? Where did it come from? Okay, so of the 7 deadly sins, you resonate most with gluttony. What about the rest of you guys?
What are the other ones again?
Oh, I'm going to see if I can get this. And I'm purely going off of the 7 deadly sins, the anime.
Oh.
So, wrath, greed, gluttony, lust, sloth, envy, and I'm missing one.
You got the other, you got the other ones right though.
Oh, what's the one I'm sleeping on? What was Meliodas? He was wrath.
Yeah, so you got lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and there's one more.
Oh, what was the last one? Hubris? Or something like... I've got envy. Talk about, what's his name? The lion. He was a lion, what's his name? I'm trying to think before, I know the sin, but I'm trying to think of who was in the 7 deadly sins. Who was he? He had the big axe. He was a little wiener. He was like a little, like tiny wiener. And then he would become this arrogant, massive, like sun god. And he was so powerful. And it was pride.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was his name? Looking on
his
Wikipedia,
name?
There's 2 historical sins as well. Did you know that?
No.
Is it Acedia?
Acidia.
Acedia or Acedia is the
How
neglect to
spelled?
take care of something that one should do. Acedia.
Acedia?
Acedia. Acedia.
What does it mean?
is a neglect to take care of something that one should do.
So that's kind of like sloth. Kind of like sloth.
And there was one called vainglory as well, which is in unjustified boasting.
Vainglory. So similar to pride, but
yeah,
vainglory.
Pope Gregory viewed it as a
Escanor. Escanor. That was it, Ryan. That was it. Oh, Brie rocking lust and gluttony. Yeah. When your girl admits that her main 7 deadly sins are lust and gluttony, you can't. And she's still rocking a good shape. You're like, happy days. Happy days. I know, what about you guys? Slot. Ravenik is slot.
Slot. Slot machine.
Pachinkos.
Pachinko
Ravenik's just got pachinko.
That's my sin.
addictions. Oh no, I think Ravnik means slut. Slut.
That's not what mine would be, actually.
Sloth. I should have answered that for you.
Why did you answer it so quick?
I don't know, they just jumped out to me. What did you say mine is? Shoot it back.
I don't know. What would yours be? I think you're quite...
Vainglory.
You're not very vain. That's what... Are you quite prideful?
Does that mean I've transcended?
Pride.
Does that mean because you can't answer, I've transcended all 7
You're very
deadly
gluttonous,
sins?
though.
Not anymore.
No, you're not.
I try not.
No.
Yeah, I keep that.
You're not greedy for sure. Like that's definitely not one.
I've transcended. I've done it, guys.
I suppose you could add
I'm
lust.
immortal.
I suppose you probably add lust now. Breeze
The
coming.
fact that I've done that is probably like pride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bree's gonna put the
Slot.
slut. Gonna put slut back on the charts.
Oh,
I
Christ.
just dealt with my inner slut. I don't need her back out. Wait, I thought this was an FMA discussion. I don't know what this discussion became, but I had a good time just scanning it though.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, it was alright.
It's been all right.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously, as per the start of the video, we tried to go live from the it wasn't the wilderness. From the middle of nowhere.
Somewhere.
It's just,
Oh, you have to walk all the way around to get it.
You have to walk around the whole town.
Yeah.
Oh, Azure Calamity.
Hey,
Do you even know what that means?
New member.
A new member.
We have a new member.
That's not just a super chat. That's a commitment of love. Azure Calamity. What a legend. Thank you so much, mate. Wow. Appreciate it so much. You have a pachinko in you. Yeah, the Konami model.
Shove a pachinko.
Get Konami'd. Oh, Azure. Look at my gift for that. Tifa. She shakes the bottle. She gives you a wink. Happy days. It's a good gift.
I saw Wu-Tai tagged us in on Discord
On.
about a video I think Wu-Tai made about Tifa's nude picture or something like that. We need to watch it. Who took Tifa's nudes?
Who took Tifa's nudes? On Discord.
Yeah.
Who did take Tifa's nudes?
I can't remember what you said now. I need to watch it back very properly. I only saw the start of it, but...
When did you watch this?
Well, I got tagged on Discord. I was like, I don't usually get tagged on Discord in the group, so I was like...
Well, now I'm curious. Oh, okay. Looks so chill there. Oh, the environment is so much nicer versus where we were. So much. Just more space, more chill.
Yeah, it's definitely a...
Environment matters.
From the
it
city.
matters. Honestly, we were getting up. We were stretching. We were pushing to keep our energy up, and we were on it way more than we've been out here. And no matter what we did, low energy.
Yeah.
Here, we've kind of just been sometimes 6 hours sleep. We did a 12-hour marathon. I mean, that says everything. Could we possibly have done a 12-hour marathon in the last place?
Not without feeling like...
Dead.
I mean, I felt dead after the 12-hour one, but I still felt like I wanted to play more.
Oh my, no, Drago. Oh, dude, a commitment to love.
It's canon. Tifa's news were taken by the doctors. Is that right?
I never liked the sound of that.
Is it doctors?
I'm a doctor. Dr. Toboggan. Oh, dude, thank you so much. Yeah, look, Azure Calamity with the little lightning emoji, Drago Reth with the happy choker.
Oh, yeah, I can see it on there. I don't know. I'm looking over yours.
Yeah. Legend, man. But yeah, like since being here, energy is just different. It's just freer flowing and there's more space. Feels like there's more air, getting some like sunlight just comes in. These little things, man, that just make all the difference with the energy. Energy. Let's talk about energy. Let's get some crystals. Let's bask in the light of crystal.
Haven't got any crystals there, have we?
I've become a crystal mum. Well, anyway, I think we've lost the room on this one.
Yeah.
Nah, it was a great chat, guys. Love scatting with you.
Yeah.
Love connecting on this time slot that we don't usually get.
Yeah, it's been nice jumping on this time, actually.
Yeah. I know we have drank all of our soju. Circling back to what this was all about. Life
Just
for the living. Live it. Chin chin. Good Grandad Stillwell. Legend.
Not Grandad Stillwell.
Or was he a
No,
different?
Grandad Buckingham.
Buckingham. That's the area that I grew up in.
Was it?
Buckingham. Yeah. Sounds really noble, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I grew up in Buckingham.
And his name was Albert.
Albert Buckingham.
Yeah.
For some reason, I feel like he should have been the butler to Lara Croft or something. I'm sure that was his name. Albert Buckingham.
I think it might have been. I'm not sure. Probably wasn't.
Oh, now Danny as well.
Hey.
Oh my gosh. Gonna take a shower after this. Did we make you feel rotten?
I feel rotten.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Danny, thank you so much, mate. Thank you, Lauren. The plethora of schmeckdoodles. Drago Wrath. I keep saying, I'm just gonna call you Dragon Wrath, man.
Drago. I keep thinking of Ivan Drago from Rocky IV. If he dies. He dies.
Azure Calamity. Thank you so much, mate. Yeah. Peace out, guys. I hope you have a fun morning, afternoon, evening, whatever you're at, whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, keep chugging forward.
We'll see you on the... I suppose... Are we streaming? We won't stream tomorrow now, will we? Really?
That's probably too late. We'll probably just prepare for God of War.
Yeah.
God of War, we're going to do day 1, 2 days. Then Bree's going to come. Fuck everything. Now then I have a while off to really chill and enjoy that.
Yeah.
And enjoy her company. And then continue to God of War at a sort of slower pace.
Yes.
Because yeah, we're gonna kind of chunk it in the first 2 days, 4 hours each day.
Yeah.
Get ahead.
Yeah, just get it. Yeah.
And then leave a break and then continue on.
Unless we just keep getting wiped on stuff and...
We're not going dude, we have been forged in the fires of Strangers of Paradise. Jack has... He's made
really
us good
gave it.
gamers again.
You think?
Yeah.
It's so funny that we were asking that game to be really hard at the start. We were like, this is easy, and we've got to it now, and it's like, this is tearing us a new one.
But dude, we've been forged in the fires of suffering.
We have.
We went through it. 12 hours, learning the mechanics.
Yeah.
If anyone who can't watch The Strangers of Paradise, we were basically fighting the bosses 70 levels above what we should have been. Brutal. I want to create a montage of that. But we actually do have a montage releasing tomorrow, as well as a Jungle Kuala Lumpur video releasing on the channel.
Yes.
We've got a porch cast from back in Thailand.
Yeah.
We've got a 10 review.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to finish that one.
There's something else I'm sleeping on. I also still kind of want to take on the Yoshi P People of Color discussion. Just because it was so trending. I don't know if you guys are in the camp that I should just stay off of it. I feel like it's good to have that kind of dialogue. And I've left it for a few days because I really wanted to get a sense of a broader range of views.
Yeah.
on the people of color. Basically, if anyone who hasn't seen it, I don't know how you wouldn't. You know, Yoshi B getting roasted with how white FF16 is. There's some valid points. There's some pretty terrible ones. I do want to discuss it. So yeah, that's sort of the roadmap of vids we've got at the moment.
It's quite a few, really.
Yeah. Oh God, Elden Ring. It's coming, Ryan. It's coming.
Yeah, we have to do Elden Ring at some point.
Go.
Maybe next year at some point.
All right. Peace out, beautiful people. Ravnik, Rihanna, Karahuit.
Ryan.
Toodles. Ciao.
As your calamity.
Till
Frank Knight.
the next live stream. Who should we give the last laugh to? Albert Buckingham.
Yes.
Buckingham. Sure, man.
Yeah.
Love you guys. Take it easy. Easy squeeze.